I really don't know. I really don't. I didn't want to tell you what to expect from this one. Because it's just bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know what to write down, so I didn't, and now I'm mad at myself, but at the same time I'm like, well, what were you gonna write down? What were you gonna write down? The fact that you didn't know if this was a satire or not, the fact that you didn't know if this was a comedy for 20 minutes of the movie, the fact that you're like, is it a comedy that's being really serious? Is it an action adventure? I don't know what the hell I'm watching. And then I was still going. And then there's a character. When we get to the character, I can tell you, I think it's partially a comedy.
I've seen this movie several times, and I'm not quite sure yet what it is.
Well, we'll get there. Oh, Heart of Darkness came into my head, and I'm like, I know it's not Heart of Darkness. That's
that's what they want this to be.
Heart of
Darkness? Want this to be a Heart of Darkness. I cannot imagine Bruce Campbell's Heart of Darkness, now that you've put that in my head. This wants to be Jurassic Park. They want this to be Jurassic Park.
They wanted this to be Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park.
Yes, we will get into it. This was supposed to be the next Jurassic Park. I'm telling you.
No.
They thought they had it. They thought they had the formula with this movie.
No.
Yes. Welcome back to the show. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is Shelf Life, a podcast hosted by a brother and sister team that go through all things pop culture to determine whether or not those things belong on your shelf. And we go through every single genre on this show. Today, we are in the middle of season 2, and we are doing a movie from our favorite decade. If you look at our back catalog, the 1990s. Rachel, what is up for contention to the shelf today?
Well, I find it funny that you said we do every genre, because you're just kind of discussing what genre is this movie. But the movie we are doing today is Congo.
That's right. The cult classic? I don't think it is. I don't think it is even a cult classic.
Does anybody see this as a cult classic?
Okay, here's the thing. I'll start off by saying this. Yes, we're doing 1995's Congo, directed by Frank Marshall. I went on the internet to do my research, as I do for every single episode of Shelf Life, because I'm a professional podcaster. And there are people on these videos that are uploaded that are behind the scenes or deleted or whatever.
All right.
That are swearing to you, unless they're bots, trolls, or Russians, that it is their favorite movie. And I'm like, okay, I know I've said it before on this podcast. I believe that everything is somebody's favorite. It just is.
Of course.
And it should be. That's how everything should be. But I don't know what age you had to be when you saw this, and if you really think this movie's underrated. But hey, that's why we're here. We're here to see, is this movie underrated? Should it be a cult classic? Does it belong on your shelf? So it's Congo. And I'm telling you, Rachel, they thought this was going to be Jurassic Park.
That is so interesting. One, it opens like it's The Lion King, and then you're telling me that it's Jurassic Park. And
okay, well,
this is the first time I saw this movie. This is the first time I saw Congo.
I want you, please explain. So what's your history with Congo?
Literally nothing.
And what is Congo? if you had to give the good old fashioned pitch of what this movie is.
Oh boy. Okay, so I have to give a good old fashioned pitch.
Because you couldn't even tell me what genre or the
right.
If we have to put a hashtag on this.
So I would call this an adventure comedy. And the reason I say comedy is...
they wanted it to be a comedy.
I don't know if they wanted it to be a comedy, but it comes across as an adventure comedy that takes itself seriously. Okay? That is how I'm going to describe it for its genre. Now, the movie is... Now, am I pitching this? Is that what's happening? All right.
Okay.
Look.
Fade in. We've got hippopotamuses. We've got gorillas. And we got Tim Curry.
Yep. Tim Curry doing an accent. Really bad accent.
And he is doing an accent. My God.
It's an accent.
It's something. It is an accent.
We're in the jungle. There's like 3 different things happening all at once. There's 3 different plots. Okay, we got 3 different plots.
Mm-hmm. All of them very malformed.
Yes. And they somehow converge.
I guess.
I mean...
If you squint...
If you squint real hard and tilt your head, they converge together, and they're still kind of on their own subplots, but then they're like kind of moving together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends. So there's no conclusion, but we'll get to that later. But it is about gorillas. It is about being in the jungle and like maybe like some hidden treasure, and we have like people.
There are people in the movie. It's not just gorillas.
That's right.
I want to be clear.
That's right.
Let me make sure that you understand. Okay, so this was your first time watching the movie.
This was my first time
watching. We're going to
it.
get your feelings about it at the end of whether or not it's on your shelf. But
yes.
As per usual, we'll get that as we go through. We've been doing a lot of first time views for you, Rach.
I know, I love it. I wanted to keep going,
especially because we did. Ghost was your first time view.
Yep.
Superman was your first time view.
Yep.
This is your first time view. So a lot
Usual
of
Suspects.
Well, I'm talking about season 2, but yeah, Usual Suspects also was a first time view. Check the back catalog for season 1. For folks that have not, that are new to Shelf Life, we have season 1 and this season 2.
I enjoy I haven't seen this movie before, let's do it and put it on the list like now movies. I think it's more fun for me.
So part of my problem with this is I know I've seen this movie before. I know I have. Because this is one of those movies that was, I feel like it was always like on cable at some point. So I know I've seen it.
It feels like an on TV just kind of in the background sometimes, maybe.
But I know the plot and everything probably from that at some point. I know I went to see this in theaters probably.
You went to see this in theaters?
Okay, here's my only thought of why I think I did. Because I would have been pretty young. But I might be just conflating 2 things together. One is that I could have gone to see this in theaters because it's like it was supposed to be like a Jurassic Park thing, so it was this big summer movie. But I might have just gotten enough Taco Bell as a little fat kid that it just becomes like...
I'm trying to follow your train of thought here. Keep going.
I wasn't fat at the time of this age. I became fat later on because of all the Taco Bell I was eating at this age. When we do our... I went to try to find our fake sponsor, right?
Is this why you're saying Taco Bell?
Yes.
Okay.
There are so many commercials associated with Congo that we might have 2 fake sponsors.
Maybe that's why I know of Congo
for this episode.
Interesting.
One of them is because of Taco Bell.
Okay.
Because I know that there was this big Taco Bell promotion for it. So it might not even be because I ate the Taco Bell, because I don't remember if I ate Taco Bell or not at this age, because I would have been 7 or whatever I was. It's more because I remember the commercials probably of all the gorillas eating Taco Bell. It was ubiquitous, and that's what I mean by it being they wanted this movie to be huge. Huge. It's based on a book by Michael Crichton.
Okay.
Do you know
I could
who Michael
see
Crichton
this
is?
being a book. I could see this being a book.
I could see this being a book, absolutely. I could absolutely see this being a book. So, Michael Crichton is Jurassic Park and Westworld. He loves animals, chaos, and amusement parks are his thing.
You know what? I enjoy his thought process.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm with him. I like his ideas. In the late 70s, Crichton was trying to figure out an idea for a book based on King Solomon's mine. Like the old legend of King Solomon's mines, which is like all these diamonds are in King Solomon's mine somewhere in Africa, right? or I don't know if it's Africa per se, but it is like, you know, foreign from Israel or whatever it was. Egypt or whatever the fuck. I think it was Israel. So it's like an old myth. And he wanted to write a book on it. Westworld had already come out. So his agent was like, fantastic. This is going to be huge. And the agent went and was like, Fox, I've got a sweet ass idea. Crichton is going to write a book about King Solomon's Mine. It's going to be huge. You've got to do it. So they sold the movie rights. Crichton didn't know that there were movie rights sold to it already, at least according to wherever I read that. I can't remember where I read it in something and I wrote the notes about it. That might not be totally true because it's third party probably, but they had the rights already done for the movie for Congo. So he comes up with Congo, he writes the script for it, and they're like, great, we're going to make it into a movie in the 80s, like the early 80s. But Crichton wanted Amy the gorilla, who we'll get into, wanted Amy the gorilla to be an actual gorilla, like use a real gorilla. Because as we find out and we learn from this movie, Rachel, gorillas, very peaceful creatures. They like us. They want to learn and have fun. They're not going to murder us like a tiger would, for instance.
Yeah. A gorilla that's like 3 times as strong as us and could literally rip our limbs off of our body.
They could if they wanted to.
Correct.
But like
if they wanted to, and they
but they don't
sometimes.
Want to. It's not in their nature
it's
to
them
want
being
to
protective.
Unless they feel like they have to defend themselves.
Right. Well, that's like with any kind of a creature, though.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like a gorilla is its natural state. Like, have you ever seen the video? There's a video where a group of people, like a silverback, just stumbles upon this group of people that are like on a safari, like in the jungle. And like the guide says, like, you turn your back to him and
you gotta be respectful.
Stand still because he's a silverback. He expects some goddamn respect. And if you do that and you part for him because he wants to walk, he's going that way.
Right.
He'll leave you alone. He'll just keep walking. He doesn't care. Yeah. He just wants some goddamn respect.
Right. And that's I always think that it's like looking something in the eye too. It's going to think that you're trying to be intimidating. It's thinking you're being aggressive by staring at it in its eyes. So you got to like, nope. You just look away. And then they think, I guess, cool, we can live. That's fine.
But I'm thinking like compared to a chimpanzee. Chimpanzee will rip your fucking face off. They're the smartest thing out there, except for humans. But they are more
are dolphins
like confrontational. I guess dolphins. So anyway, where was I? Okay.
No, we were talking about chimpanzees being assholes. I guess we could just cut it all out. It doesn't matter. Okay, go ahead.
So Crichton is like, if we aren't going to be able to do this with a real gorilla, and we can't do this with suits like puppets because it's too hard to do gorillas in suits without making them look like Planet of the Apes at the time. So he's like, then we're not doing it. So he walks away from the project.
Yeah.
And Planet of the Apes is on the list at some point. All of them.
That's what I was thinking.
Every single one of them. So what happens is, so he writes another book. He writes Jurassic Park. That was, again, the movie rights were done before the book was even out. And Spielberg gets attached to it. We'll get more into that. But because Jurassic Park is just this huge hit, Paramount in particular is like, well, what else has Crichton done? Because this guy's got it figured out. We just got to use this guy's stuff. And they're like, well, Congo is sitting around. So they get the rights to Congo. Kathleen Kennedy, who is a notorious producer, she produced a lot of stuff with Spielberg. She produced Jurassic Park. She's produced bunch of stuff. She's notorious now because she produces she's in charge of Star Wars at Disney.
Okay.
So she produces all the new Star Wars shit. So people have strong feelings about Kathleen Kennedy, even though she's one of the best producers of all time as far as blockbuster fare goes. And she decides she's going to produce this movie. Her husband is Frank Marshall, and he is going to direct the movie. And that is why I say they were like, yes, gorillas, the jungle, Crichton, this is the next Jurassic Park.
Honestly, if you kind of just think about the points that are in it, yes, I could see what you're talking about. I could see how they're kind of like putting it together. but they didn't read it, or they didn't like think about it fully.
I've never read Congo. I have a feeling that the plot is similar. I've read the Wikipedia.
I would
article
assume. Now I'm gonna have to go read it. I think there are different. Yeah, maybe that'll be an episode down the line. Folks at home, let us know if this is any. The book could be way better. The good book could be fantastic, and they just did a horrible adaptation. That happens all the time. That's just kind of how it. That's how it works, because it doesn't you can't just take the page and put it on the screen. It doesn't always work that way.
Here was the idea. Here was the concept for what like Crichton wanted to write about. He was trying to make this. He was trying to make this specifically with Sean Connery in mind.
So they were thinking also Indiana Jones. So they had. Yes, so it's Jurassic Park,
Indiana
Jones.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, yes, I can see it. Again, I can see it because they have like that. There's like those pieces, those
pulpy
elements.
Adventure. Yeah, definitely. Well, and one of the things that I watched online was somebody was saying that because they were trying to defend the movie and they were saying like it's underrated and all this stuff. And they were like, a few years later, The Mummy came out and everybody liked that. And my argument would be, yes, in tone. What this movie is trying to do, that The Mummy was also trying to do, is similar.
Yes.
But one of those movies does it head and shoulders better than the other one, and is more consistent about it.
They might have the same thing where they're like, well, let's just put these plot points together, and boom, here's a movie. It's like it's the same thing with music, right? With country music, you'd be like, put a lonely girl on a tractor and like at sunset or whatever.
Tractor. Sunset,
drinking beer,
cold beer on a Friday night.
Yep. And you have country music, right? That's like the joke. That's how they make them now. But seems to be what they did with this movie. Is they're just like, well, let's just throw all these different like. Oh, it's got all these elements. Well, okay, so make sure that it has this and this, and it's like Indiana Jones. So there's a temple, and there's got to be like some type of monster chasing them, but it's got to be in the jungle because it's different, and we don't know anything. Like
if that's what he wrote, then that's what they're trying to adapt. I think though that in a book you can put all that stuff in, and it can make sense because you can make the pace whatever you want the pace to be.
Right.
I feel like they're trying to cram all of that in a
one
hour
movie,
and a half long movie
where there's three plots that get shoved together.
Like the hippo scene comes and goes.
Oh my god.
They built a hippo.
You want to talk about an asshole animal? Hippos are assholes. Okay, they will kill you. So.
But doesn't that scene like comes and go? Yes, a hippo. Yeah, you want to talk about an animal that'll kill you? They'll bite your head off, man.
Yes, they will.
They don't care. Hippos,
no, they don't.
They look cute.
Oh, they're adorable. But they are monsters.
They will murder you in a second. So they didn't really make this movie with Michael Crichton they just had John Patrick Shanley, who I think has won an Oscar. They had him write the screenplay for this. Okay. So Crichton really not involved in this.
I always have problems with that too. I always have problems with that. You have to have the original
they can be a consultant. They don't have to write it.
No, but like depending on someone's interpretation, they want to be like, well, hold on a second, and you just kind of like.
Here's what I was thinking.
This is what my thoughts. I'm like, we could put these things together, or if maybe you should spin it that way. But a lot of the times, the interpretation sometimes can be completely thrown off.
I like the idea of adapting. Here's Kevin's rant on different genres here when it comes to this stuff. I look at it like this. A book is a singular person or two people, however many people are writing the book. Usually it's one or two. It's their vision. And maybe their editor. Because editors have a lot to do with what belongs, what doesn't. So
they can help you with tone. They can help you with all of that. Yeah.
It's a few people's vision at most. Same could go for a comic book. Those type of things. When it comes to a television show, it's a group of people writing it, and then you have actors that interpret it and come up with their own thing, and then you have the directors that come up with their own thing. And a movie is tenfold that as well. Because it might be one screenplay, as opposed to like a writer's room for the writers. So it's one vision for the writing, but then it's another vision for the directing, and then it's all the different actors have their interpretation of it, and then the visual people have their interpretation of it, and it's a collaboration. And when you get to the movie size of it, it's something where you want to have all of these people working together to like what is the comparative advantage that they all have. They all have certain roles, and they're all supposed to be like, what do we bring to the table? So like that's what I like about movies, in the sense that it's like a bunch of people trying to get along and come out with like the best thing.
No, I understand.
Sometimes the movie can do that, and sometimes the book is better at doing that. Like there are certain things where I see the adaptation of it, I'm like, oh, that's a way better idea than what the book did.
Right.
And
yes,
then there's
I
some
have seen
things
this before.
Probably like this, even though we haven't read the book, where it's like, oh, that didn't work because X, Y, and Z, whereas the book was one vision and it made more sense.
Right.
I don't know, because I haven't read
drew
this.
this
But like Jurassic
part
Park
out, and this part was a little shorter, so it made a little bit
Yeah.
more sense. But like in the movie, they pulled this part out way more, and this became shorter, and it just doesn't make
Right.
sense with this part of the movie. Yeah.
Right.
I know what you're
the
saying.
people that made the movie were like, this part of the book doesn't work. We're going to do it this way or leave it out or something like that. But like Jurassic Park is probably the opposite example. Like I've read Jurassic Park audiobooked, so I listened to it.
Yeah, same
But
idea.
I listened to Jurassic Park, the book, and it's good, but it's very different than the movie. The basic idea and the theme is there, but it is very different. And the movie, I would say, overall, is much more grandiose than the book. And I bet this is just the opposite, where it's like this they didn't know exactly how to do everything. It's not a bit. The budget for this was $50 million, and it grossed worldwide $152 million.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite the hit.
Well, that's good. Good for them.
But I have a
We've
feeling
had some that was like, well, they didn't like make any money, like, so it makes sense to me.
But I have a feeling that it was not exactly like the Jurassic Park hit that they wanted it to be. And like I
Right.
said, there are just so many freaking commercials.
So do you think it was hyped up, and then that's why they made
Well,
how
yeah,
much they
I
did,
think
or
it's-
do you
I think it
think
was
it
absolutely
was
hyped up.
like okay?
But I mean, that Taco Bell, there's Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I can't remember which one. There's a video game. There's a Sega Saturn and a Nintendo video game. There's a PC video game of Congo.
Jeez.
There's just all this stuff that they truly thought they like had a hit on their hands.
Sure.
I did the old inflation calculator for us here because that's what we got to do. $50 million budget would be a $97 million budget today, so it's not a bad budget. It's not like this huge, ridiculous, bloated thing by today's standards.
Right.
It would have grossed worldwide the equivalent of $295 million, which is pretty good. So it still would have been a big hit, I think, for the studio. That's what, like, the producer, like Kathleen Kennedy, that's her job, is to make something that is marketable and makes money, right? Yeah. And I will give, we'll do these more when we get into it, but part of this, I'm thinking, I skewed myself a little bit on this. Because I watched, for the research for this, I watched this TV documentary that must have aired on like Fox or CBS or something like before the movie came out to like, give you, like the behind the scenes. They did this back in the 90s. I explicitly remember it it's on the list, or put it on the list if it's not on the list, Independence Day, because they did this thing before Independence Day came out, where they did a 30-minute or like an hour-long special about the behind-the-scenes of the movie. But the first 5 minutes, they did it like it was a fake news report. And I thought it was real. So I freaked out and thought that aliens were invading until I realized that it was just a stupid promotion for the movie. Congo had like this like behind the scenes thing, and they showed like a bunch of like the different ways that they did some of the effects and stuff that we'll get into when we get
and
into
that's always
when we
fun.
do the walkthrough.
I always like to see those things.
But it made me do that like, damn it, like you're gonna make me respect some of the freaking filmmaking techniques of this.
But you
crappy
have
movie.
to kind of do that.
Well, yeah, that yeah, I know, because that's
honestly,
part of...
we'll get into it. But you know what? The gorillas were fine.
I disagree. But
I thought they
we'll
were
get
fine.
into it.
I thought their movements were fine. Their faces were a little But the movements were
there's
okay.
some problems with it. We'll talk about it. And we haven't even gotten into the biggest plot point of this movie, which is that there's a talking gorilla in it. Because the movie is
That's
so
one
insane.
of the plot points, though. That's not all of the plot points. I told you, there's 3 plot points. Let me tell you what they are, because we didn't really say what they are.
Okay.
We have a talking gorilla that they want to take back into the jungle. Horrible plan.
First of all, it's not even really a talking gorilla. People keep calling her a talking gorilla. She's not.
She does sign language. Well, she does. She does talk. She does sign language that's actually being translated into a speaking box, a speaking device, so that she has a voice. So it is her speaking. It's her using sign language to be interpreted into a voice. Anyways,
all right, whatever.
So they want her to go back to the jungle. All right, Amy Tickle. Then they have I'm telling you, there's parts where I'm telling you it's a comedy. Then we have the second plot point of we found diamonds and we want to make a laser.
Diamonds!
Okay, so there's that plot point. And then we have third plot point of there's a temple and treasure. Okay, so 3 plot points.
The diamonds
and somehow
and the
they
treasure
converge.
Are connected.
No. Well, yes and no. They're 2 separate reasonings. So we have the diamonds for lasers and we have the diamonds because I'm poor. So there's 2 different things. And he wanted to prove too that the temple existed.
And I don't even think that the diamonds are the right kind of diamonds to get rich off of, because if they're being used for telecommunications, I don't think those are like
I don't know, they call telecommunications, but they're like lasering things, like blowing shit up. I don't really know what this company is, if it's like some evil,
I really want to know if the folks at home that have read Congo, do gorillas get lasered in the book? Because something tells me that gorillas don't get lasered in the book. All right, so last thing about this before we go to the walkthrough. Because, folks, there might be a couple of commercial breaks. Because there are so many, I feel like I've got to use them. I don't think I said why I know Congo. I feel like I know the plot, and I knew the plot before I rewatched the movie for our show.
Mm-hmm.
This has been done by different people on the internet. In particular, I know a couple of our favorites have done it, and I wanted to really listen to them again before we did our show, but I didn't want to get them in my head so that they would influence what we talked about.
I assume I also have listened to those before, but I do not
Probably.
remember them.
We Hate Movies, one of their first episodes is Congo. And one of my favorite How Did This Get Made episodes is Congo. If you can find that one, Rachel, if you have that one downloaded. So this one has its treaded path, but I did not go back to re-listen because I knew the plot and like what happened because of that. So
I'll go listen and watch those after this. But I wanted to discuss it first. I didn't want to become
you want your
biased.
Opinion clouded.
Yeah.
Because this is historically not considered a good movie. Like we said, like we're searching either for redemption to see if is it a good movie, is it a fun movie, is it bad enough to be funny, or is it just fun enough movie that it doesn't have to be good, it's just fun.
Right.
Our criteria for those that are new is not we're looking for the best, we're looking for the best in the sense of most entertaining. So we're going to find out if Congo
is this entertaining enough to watch again.
Yeah. Okay then. When we come back, a word from our fake sponsor, and we will walk through Congo.
Now you can see all the excitement and adventure of the Congo in your local theater, or you can taste it at Taco Bell. Introducing the Volcano Burrito, piled high with seasoned beef, beans, rice, a blend of 3 cheeses, and flowing with fiery red sauce. If you're hungry for excitement, get the new Volcano Burrito at Taco Bell. But hurry, at just 99 cents, a taste eruption like this won't be active for long.
This summer at Congo the Movie, you'll join an expedition that will test the height of technology and the depths of human courage. What you find will amaze you. You'll discover the legendary taste of Taco Bell. And while you're there, get 3 exciting Congo the Movie collector's watches. Just $1.49 each with any food purchase. But hurry, they're an endangered species.
You know, question, is it just because they're in the Congo? Is that why it's called Congo? I don't even understand why it's called Congo. Like, I feel like...
No, I think I know. Hang on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
My gimmick? Are you going to let me do my gimmick?
Yes, please do your gimmick.
We're back! Okay.
Flame-broiled gimmick right there.
Yes, I have a flame-broiled gimmick. So, I think I know. Because Heart of Darkness...
Joseph Conrad.
Yeah, Joseph Conrad. So Joseph Conrad wrote Heart of Darkness. It's a story about a British man going into the darkness of Africa, the heart of the jungle, how treacherous and unpaved and uncivilized the British are when they're conquering the continent and stuff like that. Because I think that's supposed to be the thing, because then there's also, and I think that takes place in Congo or around Central Africa.
Okay.
Then you have King Leopold's Ghost, which is a book I read in college, which is about how the Belgium King Leopold took over Congo, and it was devastating to Congo. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the most notorious, because it's a tough terrain, when you get to the jungle and there's mountains and there's volcanoes and stuff like that. So I think it's just it brings to light the idea that you're going into the heart of darkness when you're going into Congo. I think that's the idea.
Interesting.
It also could just be, and folks at home that are more adept at nature stuff let us know, where mountain gorillas are from, and that's where it has to be there, because that's where mountain gorillas are.
Because it's the jungle, and yeah. I mean, all of it makes sense. I could see that kind of being a theme for all of it. Maybe it's just because a lot of people find jungles scary, and if they wanted it to be like Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park, they both have these jungle parts where they're trekking through and trying to make sure they can survive, and there's things attacking them and blah blah blah. So I mean, all of that kind of makes sense. I was just curious, because it's just okay. Because it all converges in Congo, so...
Yeah, I think it is also. So I just Googled it. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for mountain gorillas, and it does say that there are 2 populations. One is found in the Virunga volcanic mountains, where this movie takes place.
Okay, all right.
Which is Central or East Africa. In Rwanda, Virunga in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, and the other is in the Bwindi Impenetrable National Park. Also probably part of it, he wanted to do mountain gorillas, so where are mountain gorillas from? Well, Congo.
And then look, a volcano. That's a fun one. Let's do that one.
I do also think, as ignorant, ugly Americans, especially, and Westerners, if you're not from America as well, we tend to look at that map of the world.
Yeah.
And we think Africa, that's a big continent, it looks big. I think we don't understand how fucking gigantic that continent is.
Oh, yeah.
It's enormous.
Yeah.
It is so enormous.
It's scary big. Legitimately.
And that's why a lot of resources come from there, and
absolutely.
And I think that part of the movie is also trying to get at that kind of stuff with the revolts. There's just so much going on in this movie.
There's so much happening.
There's too much happening. Okay.
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. So we fade in on the Paramount Mountain, and then there's footage. I liked the fade, and then it fades into the African safari.
Well, part of me was it could have been the volcano.
Sahara.
But yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, an allusion to the volcano. And then there's some emus, I think, in the background. It's
sort
all
of
orange
bird.
Background. This is where you said it was Lion King-esque.
Well, yeah.
Right?
I mean, because they're trying to make, we're in, Africa, and we're doing, that kind of a movie, so we have to have the song that goes with it. We have to have that silhouette with the sunset and the colors, and, yeah. Safari.
The title Congo comes up. I thought kind of plain. The font. Gotta complain about the font.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they did it in Word. Like old Word.
Yeah, they like found like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I guess like what do you make it? But they could have made it look more jungle.
Well,
or
nowadays, like a vine would have curled around it, and it would have like turned into Congo, and then
give me something fancy. I mean, did you see the poster for this? It's like Amy's face. It's like her eyes, and then it just is like Congo going down vertically.
That reminds me of like Planet of the Apes and stuff.
Yeah, I guess that might be what they're trying to do. I guess the weird part about it too is that it's Amy's face, and then there's like code.
Is that like the VHS cover? Because that's what that looks like to me. That doesn't look like a poster.
I could see this hanging at a movie theater. It's the theatrical poster, yeah.
Well, because it looks like there's 3 different versions. There's one without the code, then there's the ones with the code, and then there's this other one where it shows like a different gorilla eyes and a temple with them walking to it.
Yeah, I don't know what that one would have been from, but I guess that one is also a poster, which makes more sense. That's more of what the story is.
Right.
But I feel like if you were to watch the trailer for this, it would have been making you think this is a thriller, like it's a horror movie almost with like.
Well, part of me thought that is one of the things I had in mind was like maybe it's supposed to be like a scary adventure, you know, where okay now they're going into the jungle and there's people are gonna start dying and it's gonna be like scarier, it's gonna be darker, you know. No.
No, it's campy. It's campy.
It's definitely more campy.
We see a few cars. They're going through the wild. There's some lions, you get some giraffes, you get the setting, you get the idea.
Right.
We're in Africa somewhere. In the middle of Africa, not in the desert, we're in the jungle. And they're at a village, there's men unloading a truck, and then they start hiking into the wilderness. This like group of people. I kind of like this part of the theme. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's a very derivative of The Lion King, but it's not bad.
I mean, the music is fine. I just very stereotypical. This is how the movie's like. Oh, this is the way to represent it. Like, show them an African tribe and make sure that there's like some animal silhouettes and like the music has to be like very.
There is nothing subtle about this at all.
Not at all.
There is no subtext. So we find out Bruce Campbell is the lead exhibitor here.
Yes.
He's the lead guy, like leading them through the path. And there's a bunch of other guys too. And they're climbing a mountain volcano. It's Mount Mukenko. Is this a real volcano? Folks at home, let us know if Mount Mukenko is real. Because it could just be something that Michael Crichton either made up, or no, it's real. It's an extinct volcano in the Virunga Mountains. So it's in the Republic of Congo.
Well, I see Mikenko. Mikeno.
Yeah, Mikenko.
No, I'm not going to say it properly. I apologize. Mikeno? But that's a different one, right?
Oh, Mikeno. Yeah.
So maybe that's what it's like.
Yeah, I think it's based on that. I think it's based
on
it. Yeah.
But they didn't want to use the actual name because it's supposed to be a bit. I think because it's supposed to be more mystical. I think it's supposed to be a bit more mystical, so it can't be like a real one.
Because it's not like we don't want to offend the people of Congo because we're using that. Like what? It's a volcano. Like it's not.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. That would be different.
I don't know.
But I'm
thinking
that it might be more so. Well, it's kind of like the island in Jurassic Park isn't real. That's true. This is our volcano. This is our location. It's more mystical and like trapped within the jungle, you know, and you have to actually journey there to find it.
Michael Crichton does a lot more DC style world building with fake cities and names. There's a campsite set up, and it looks like they're doing some sort of research. And as they're setting up this campsite, it suddenly cuts. It cuts to this satellite, and I was like, "What the hell?" Because it's just.
Oh my god, this was so weird. It was so weird.
you spent a minute or two setting up the whole tone of like Central Africa jungle, and then you just cut immediately to this satellite. Which I get what they're going for, because they're trying to like intersperse technology with the jungle and this safari.
Man, this technology. Oh man, this technology. Wave of the future.
Go ahead. Well,
God.
Why do you say that?
Because it's so bad.
This was cutting edge. I don't even know if you could do this very well in the mid-90s.
You can barely do this now, and they're making it. It's so clear. It's so, like, wow. You can see everything. You can actually hear everything so well. Holy cow.
It's
They're
not
satellites. Now, maybe this evil corporation, okay? I don't know if they're evil. I still don't know if they're evil. But
Jodan Baker seems a little...
well, the CEO might be evil, but still.
My diamonds!
But, I mean...
Hashtag my diamonds.
They have, like, this war room. I'm going to call it the war room, because it's like you have to have credentials
like
to get into it.
What does this company do?
I don't know, and that's
what
why
do
I
they
still
do?
don't get it.
So, okay. All right, let's step back. Let's say what's going on. So, they're doing a satellite call. Bruce Campbell is doing a satellite call from Congo to Houston, Texas, where, like, the headquarters of this corporation is.
Yes.
And we get Dr. Ross, who's played by Laura Linney. Rachel, do you recognize Laura Linney from anything? I don't know if you watched this or not. I think it's Ozarks is what you would remember her from, if you watched that one.
Ozark's one of them. The Truman Show is another.
Oh, that's right. She's the wife in Truman Show.
Yeah.
Add that to the list.
So I knew her from a couple of things. I'm like, oh yeah, I know your face. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, she's playing...
I love how you
Dr.
always
Ross.
play that game. Just be like, do you recognize this person? Yes, I do.
I don't. I forgot that she was from the Truman Show.
Oh!
And I did not... I don't watch Ozark, so I didn't know who she was.
Okay, that makes sense.
I do know who this person is, though. She needs to get into this room, as you called it, the war room, and this guy like has to give her the code to get in.
Yes.
Bruce Campbell
because
is
they're
calling
changing
via
it
satellite.
every hour now. Like, all right.
Jodan Baker is the CEO, which we'll get to in a minute. And Rachel, you've seen Jodan Baker. You've seen him in movies, in particular, where there's a couple of robots and a tall gentleman that are in the front row. You've seen some stuff with him in it, for sure.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And that's what makes having Jodan Baker and Bruce Campbell in this interesting, because it's like, okay, you put those guys in a movie, it's a B movie. You're going for
a B movie, which also makes me think that you're a comedy, but trying to take yourself seriously, kind of a comedy where it's almost a satire on itself, where it's serious, but it makes you laugh because it's like silly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
okay.
very silly. This movie is silly.
It's silly.
You can put that on the Blu-ray post, the 4K release. It's silly. Shelf life. Okay, so Bruce Campbell calls in, and Laura Linney is talking to him. And it looked to me like a pre-show at Universal Studios before you get on the ride.
Oh my god, it does! Because then all of a sudden, like, tremors from the volcano happen. It's like, okay, we're gonna get on the ride in a second.
Yeah. Like, Bruce Campbell is gonna show us the ride vehicle that we're gonna get in so that we can go through the Lost City of Zinj.
Oh my god!
That's what it felt like.
That's a really good way of describing it. I like it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But it's like the clearest picture you could ever get through satellite. And the clearest sound ever. Like, it's insane.
But it still looked like a PC game from the mid-90s. Like,
well,
Mad
how are they
Dog
going to make
McCree.
it look better?
Yeah. He is demonstrating that they found a diamond, like something that makes up diamonds. It's like this little, like, blue vial. And he's like, well, once we find the real thing, it'll work better. He puts it in this laser gun, and he just starts a fire in the middle of the jungle.
He just shoots
this plant.
A laser. Like, let me shoot this laser beam from the diamond liquid. Like, I'm sorry, what? Science?
This is totally asinine.
Science. Okay? Science.
Completely asinine. And not to compare it to Jurassic Park, but because I think they wanted us to. Jurassic Park goes through, like, here's how we could make a dinosaur.
Yep.
Here's how this can happen. Here's why this can happen. And they don't do, and they do it in an entertaining way.
This one,
is
though,
like,
is just like,
this
let me
diamond
shoot a
makes
laser.
lasers. Yeah. This diamond makes a laser gun. There's no explanation for it.
But see, maybe I've missed...
Hang on. I thought she was going to take her glasses off. I thought it was going to be like a really serious moment. Like, hang on.
No, maybe they explain it more later. But why are you making a laser gun? Are you an evil corporation? Or are you using these lasers with your satellites for some type of telecommunication?
Yes,
or...
that's what they keep saying.
But I don't understand.
That's what they keep
What's
saying.
What's that going to do? Are you just trying to shoot people from space? I don't understand.
Okay, so Jodan Baker says, because I cannot remember his name, Jodan Baker says that the satellite that they're using currently only has a few years left before it'll be obsolete. So they need a new cash cow, and that's the diamonds. Because the diamonds are the next stage in telecommunications? But what does that have to do with lasers?
Yes!
I don't know.
Diamonds, lasers, telecommunications. It all makes sense.
I don't understand. I honestly, folks at home, please let us know if any of this makes any logical sense. So Bruce Campbell's like, hey, I want to let the other guy that's on the safari get credit for this. So let me go find him, and then we'll hop back on in an hour so that you go get Jodan Baker, and then we'll all celebrate. He forgets to give her the coordinates of where they're at, and he goes to find the other guy whose name is Jeffrey. He's like soaking wet, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy up to? And you find out right away, he jumped into this pond that their camp is by, and he's like, you gotta go in this thing. You gotta see this.
Right.
Okay. Rachel, we're in the United States. There's stuff in waters here that I'd be terrified to just dive into the water.
Yeah.
Africa, Congo, is known to have lots of species of stuff.
Yes.
I cannot imagine being like, yeah, I'm just gonna dive right in and just
fine.
see
They'll take
what
something
happens.
for the infection later. It's okay. Well, the weirder thing is they're like, I see light through this tunnel, and so they're like, and it's like the murkiest
Is that
water.
why? Because they saw light. Okay.
That horrifies me too. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm ever going to swim and then swim through tunnels underwater. You don't know where that thing's gonna go. You don't know if there's gonna be air on the other side.
Okay.
You don't know how skinny it gets. But I'm like, I get it. You see the light, so you're just assuming that you're gonna be able to get through it. But this water, you can't even see through. And if you're opening your eyes in this bacteria-ridden water too, pink eye. I don't know. Something's going to happen to you. So
a leech, a snake,
yes,
a crocodile,
a hippo. Something's gonna eat you.
Something is going to eat you. Just that's a warning. Something's going to eat you.
Well, it's like claustrophobic, and then just being underwater. I don't know, like drowning, ocean, giant depths of darkness, like not being able to see, none of that.
But we're not Bruce Campbell and Jeffrey, so they go in and they come out on the other side into a Paramount soundstage, and there are earthquakes. It's this jungly looking thing,
right? Well, because the earthquakes are from the volcano.
That's from the volcano, and then you see like pieces of like what looks kind of like a ruin.
Yeah,
like a temple of some kind.
Right.
They don't really like completely give you
but
a good shot
there's
of it.
Little statues of like monkeys and gorillas.
Little monkey statues.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're gonna need a whole nother team in here to examine the city. Back in Texas, this is where we meet Jodan Baker, who is playing the CEO of this company.
Right.
He is ready to dominate. This is what I wrote down, which is what we already talked about. He's ready to dominate the communications industry with the diamonds.
Yep.
So whatever they said during the movie, that was my note, and it still doesn't make any sense.
And like any classic CEO, he just carries around one golf club with him.
I loved that he carries around the golf club, though.
It's not
I thought it was such a great touch.
It's not like all of his clubs in like a bag. It's just one golf club.
Just one golf club. He's got like a driving range somewhere on
Oh
campus.
yeah, anywhere he goes, there's probably a driving range.
If I ever become, once we become big enough that I become CEO of Shelf Life, I'm just going to carry around a golf club in a golf cart at our facilities.
You don't even play golf. No, I just like to carry the golf club.
No,
it makes me look important.
Just like to carry the club. Yes, exactly. It's like having like a cigar. No, I don't smoke, but it makes me look like I'm important.
Oh man,
that's how we know he's important. Rachel, how else are we supposed to know that he's
right.
a big time
right.
CEO if he doesn't have that golf club? So Jeffrey is taking too long, and Bruce Campbell is having a snack. He's eating like a chocolate bar or something, which, again, I know that he's dressed for safari, so he's probably got like a bunch of cargo pockets. But you just dove into this water, and now you're unwrapping this chocolate. I don't know. I
definitely
feel like
was soaked
I feel like
in
it wasn't thought through. Yeah.
It's gross.
Okay.
Ugh.
Because I don't know. Like, I'm
Kinda
sure
swampy.
that there is stuff.
It's all over his hands.
As he's sitting there, he's like, Jeffrey, where are you? And an eyeball gets thrown at him.
Yeah. Yep.
And he...
Just an eyeball.
And I liked the eyeball effect. That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
It was gory.
It was gross. It was good.
And he turns around and does a Bruce Campbell scream.
Oh.
It's like patented. Like the camera does a Sam Raimi zoom in on his face.
It really does.
And he's like, ah! It is Bruce Campbell screaming.
Yes.
I feel like that's when they should have done the Congo, like, like that should have been your cold open if they wanted to do like a cold open for the movie.
Oh, yeah. They could have just done that. That would have been good. Don't have any of this satellite shit. Just have them in the jungle cold open.
Well, even if they wanted to do the satellite stuff, then like it says like 3 months later. After, end of or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I guess that would be cliched too, but
but I mean,
whatever. Yeah, you're making Congo. Like, come on.
Which cliche do you want to use for Congo?
You know what? Maybe they thought that was too close to Jurassic Park's opening. So they did the nice open with the safari.
Interesting.
Because the open with Jurassic Park is the worker getting killed by the raptor.
Right.
Spoiler alert. So they felt like they had to do something different. Back in Texas, they're trying to get a signal. They only are getting a blank screen. The sophistication on this camera and satellite is insane. Because this guy it's like having like NASA technology from the 90s. Because this guy is able to control the camera and like moving it around.
And it works so well. Like, it works so well from just using one little satellite all the way to Africa on 90s technology. I'm sorry, but just...
And they turn the camera and there's nothing there, but then they see just a bunch of dead people around the camp.
Absolutely.
And then something attacks the camera.
Yep.
And they lose the signal. I was trying to figure this out. This scene feels weird. And I don't know why it feels weird, and it's because it's in this room that has nothing like but monitors on the wall, and there's no score, and something about the sound mix makes it feel very empty. I don't know what it is. There's something unsettling about it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the idea.
I think that is the idea, is to make isolated. It... Because you want to be kind of, like, quiet and feel uneasy and, like, okay, what's happening? Which, for the tone of the rest of the movie, it doesn't work.
Doesn't match. Doesn't match at all.
So maybe that's another reason it just feels a little bit jarring. There's a couple jarring things. The satellite transition, this weird scene that makes it sound like it's supposed to be spookier than it is. We'll get to the next one.
Gorilla. Joe Don Baker breaks a screen with the golf club. So that golf club comes into play.
Yes.
And he freaks out and he's doing my diamonds again and again. He says no one outside this room should know that this happened. He doesn't want anybody to know that this happened. He wants everybody to be on the download about this. And then this is where we get exposition.
Well, I mean, nobody outside of this room probably even knows about the damn thing going on because they have it so locked down in the first place.
Yeah, he's already like all...
It's already completely locked down.
Well, they kind of allude, Dr. Ross, Laura Linney, implies that Jodan Baker is paranoid because he says something like it could have been a rival company, it could have been a native tribe or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't give me your like conspiracy stuff. He must be like super paranoid that another, which again is a Michael Crichton trope in these stories, right? Like corporate sabotage is part of his shtick.
No, yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
But we find out that Bruce Campbell was his son. And then we also find out that she was going to marry him. So she's like his ex-fiance?
Yes.
Which is a interesting dynamic to make it, but...
Yes. The son of the CEO and the ex-fiance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's where we get, as you said, Rachel, like one of the goals here.
Mm-hmm. I guess there's 4, because the other one is coming up now too.
So Jodan Baker says gorillas don't do that. That's why he thinks it's like a local company or something, or the locals are another company. Because he's like, gorillas wouldn't attack a camp. They don't attack a camp. They're going to come up to you and they're going to be like, get out of here. We don't want you here. But they aren't going to like, kill
massacre
8 people. Yeah. So this is where they come up with this plan. So Jodan Baker is like, Ross, you're going to go there. And once we hear because once something gets out, I don't understand this. He's like, once people find out what happened to the rest of the crew, because I guess like at some point they're going to be like the crew didn't come back, so we have to investigate. They're going to shut down the borders to Zaire. So they aren't going to be able to get in to the Virunga region, I guess. So like he's like, you got to do this right now. And I think he's just coming up with an excuse to try to get her to do it. I think he is just coming up with
excuses. Yeah.
And then she makes him say, like, I love the delivery of this. It's so Jodan Baker.
Tell me you love your son.
I do.
And that's why you're sending me.
It is.
And it's like so like matter of fact.
Yes.
Because it's just like, I do. It is. I will actually give them credit for the framing of this shot too, because it's the satellite beams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming out of her. It looks like it's coming out of her mouth. I don't know why.
I don't know if I noticed that. Yeah.
If it's an artistic choice on purpose for some reason, but it is framed that way. We suddenly go to Berkeley, where there is Taco Bell all over the place because product placement. Someone was playing Doom. I assume it was Amy. And then I wanted to see that. Why didn't we get to see Amy playing Doom?
I don't know, because that would have been great.
That would have been great. I would have loved to see a gorilla playing Doom. Doom, by the way, is Doom a main event?
It has to be.
It's on the list.
It has to be.
There's paintings everywhere.
Yes.
And we meet Amy, who is finger painting. And Amy she's supposed to be a mountain gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
So now I get to talk about Stan Winston and the gorilla designs. Stan Winston, who is a legendary designer of visual effects in Hollywood, wanted to do this because he is quoted as saying he was known as like the robot guy, and then Baker, who is another visual effects guy, could always do the monkeys and the apes. And he was like, I want to try doing the apes. So he was like, perfect. It was a great idea. He says he regretted, him and his team say like they went cute with Amy because they made Amy look like a lowland gorilla, and she's supposed to be a mountain gorilla. So mountain gorillas are a little more like like they're kind of what you think of as a gorilla, and lowland gorillas are smaller and they look more cutesy. So they wanted her to look cutesy, so she looks too much like a lowland gorilla is what they say. But she's supposed to be a mountain gorilla. Are you looking up a lowland gorilla?
I am. I want to see their fake faces. I want to see. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I see what they mean. Okay.
Yeah, they look a little smaller. They look a little more like, hello. Okay, like, they look a little, you know what I mean?
I think
compared
so.
To a mountain gorilla, which looks more like...
tough.
Intimidating, yeah.
Yeah.
They made this suit, so this is a woman in a suit, and it looks good.
Okay.
I'll give them...
No, the movements,
I was thinking of this,
the way that they move is okay. The faces are a little funky.
It's a little funky. The face is a little funky, but it's a technological marvel, in my opinion.
No, it looks great.
If they were to remake this today, This would be
CGI
Andy Serkis
bullshit, annoying.
with a bunch of tennis balls around him, and it would be CGI, and that would suck. That would absolutely suck.
It would.
Because, like, you can tell Amy is real. She is there. She's interacting with things.
Yep.
She's there. And that's so much better than if it was CGI today.
If they were smart, they would do it this way with a little CGI just to make it a little bit more realistic.
Yes, and I will get to that towards the end, where I think that they should have used a little bit of CGI.
Yeah.
Practical effects are always better, and Hollywood needs to get back to that, because, like, nowadays, Marvel, for instance, or Disney in general, just throws CGI at the fucking wall and
for no reason.
Because they rush it, because they don't use it to enhance a effect.
No, it's
like
just the
we're
full
asking
effect.
Congo to do. They're using it as the effect. So anyway, there's this other guy that's not Dr. Elliot.
Right.
So there's this guy that's painting with
The babysitter.
with Amy. Well, I think it's like, okay, I
think he's also like a handler.
Yeah, I think he's a handler. So Peter Elliott comes in, and Amy's excited to see him because it's like a dog seeing, like, or a little kid.
Oh, it's
seeing,
definitely
like, their
a dad-daughter relationship.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I thought that it comes off as this is the couple with their kid. That's what this comes off as.
It really does. It does.
100%.
I kind of wish it was more so. I wish they fed into that more. That would have been great.
Dylan Walsh playing Peter Elliott. Peter Elliott is also the name of somebody that helped consult them on Congo. Dr. Peter Elliott in real life is a primatologist who taught all the people in the suits how to act like gorillas.
Oh, okay.
Like a gorilla expert.
Sure, so he understands their movements and such. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It makes me wonder if they named this character after him, and that the character in the book that is the Peter Elliott character is either somebody like Crichton knew that this guy existed,
yeah, maybe.
or is it a different name and it's not Peter Elliott in the book? But
probably
because
not.
they hired him on as a consultant, they were like, we're just name him after this guy. It seems like they're like the dads to Amy, and yeah, you're right. That would have been an interesting dynamic if they played that up somehow.
I kind of wish they played it up a little bit more. The other guy doesn't get as much screen time as he probably should.
No, this guy's just a coward. He's just this like bumbling coward partner.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to even have come along. He doesn't want to be there. It's just because I think Peter can't handle Amy by himself.
Which still doesn't make any sense. But anyways.
So it goes to this presentation where Peter is saying he taught Amy how to speak using sign language with a box to make it possible to interpret the language. So
Which is actually pretty amazing. It's kind of cool.
This is based off of Coco the monkey, Coco the gorilla from before this, where scientists taught Coco how to use sign language and use sign language to interact with her handlers. And I assume that we're still doing this. I would hope that we're still doing this, where we're teaching gorillas how to use sign language, because it's pretty sweet that we could actually interact with them this way.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty amazing.
I was trying to figure out what the point of this presentation was, and I guess he's trying to get grants to continue the research.
So here's the thing. So you're missing another vital point, is that box allows people who cannot speak and who use sign language to speak to actually have a voice, because they can use it and it allows whatever they're signing to actually be spoken word. And so, like, they even show, like, a video of a guy, like, almost crying in tears because he's like, oh, God, I have never had a voice. And then it does that. And it's kind of amazing. It's kind of cool. I think that's the point. Because he's saying, like, oh, everybody thought this was a hoax and that they just kind of, like, set this up, that, like, blah, blah, blah. But look, there's gorillas talking. And
see,
it's
I think it's more of with the gorillas. Because that technology is some other guy that made that.
I know, but that's what he's using for the gorillas. So he's like saying this is a real thing, and then look, we can use it to speak to gorillas. I feel like the sign language part is bigger because it's allowing like a gorilla to have a voice. Well, it's allowing somebody who can't speak the language to have a language.
That other scientist has that patent, though. He's just applying it to gorillas specifically.
Yeah. I guess you have to go back a little bit more. You have to say, like, okay, he's using the technology of this other person, and he's using it to speak to the gorillas. So this isn't like a hoax. It's not like, oh, it's fake. Like, she's just kind of like flopping her hands around.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why he shows that, yeah.
So he's trying to get across, like, these people get their voice, but hey, we could even give animals a voice. We could give these gorillas who are incredibly intelligent a voice as well.
Right, because his point is that Amy is smart for a gorilla, but she's not like a genius. Like we could teach other gorillas this as well, and then we'd be able to interact with another species on the planet, and we would be able to like teach each other whatever.
Right, just more about the world.
Interact with another species. That's his idea.
I
she
think
gives him
so.
some flowers. They have a conversation. She asks for lunch. She's Amy, good gorilla.
Yep.
Amy. And
yes.
She's basically then the crowd's astonished. Tim Curry is in the crowd, and he takes out a ring with an eye on it, and he looks very devious.
Okay. You're also forgetting this other part with the crowd. Okay, so we have the devious Tim Curry, and then we also have, I can't think of the actor's name.
His dad's name is Mel.
Yes.
His mom's name is
Cindy.
But
it goes to them, and it's a comedy because it goes to these two, and they're just
Pankin.
like, "Can you believe it? The gorilla is speaking! Oh my god! Like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like what?" It feels like, oh god, Chopping Mall. They do the same thing. They talk about the robot, and it goes to the audience, and they're like, oh my god, look at that robot, and it's like, what is happening?
I'm glad that you picked that up too, because I thought the same thing. It's the same scene from Chopping Mall,
yes!
And it's the same idea in Chopping Mall where they have these actors who are known for comedy,
right?
and they're in a movie that, well, Chopping Mall I think is tongue in cheek.
Chopping Mall's a comedic horror. Add it to the list.
So Stuart Pankin is the actor that you're thinking of. He's in Xenon.
Yeah,
Is
Xenon.
He in Xenon Girl of the 20th Century?
Yes, he is.
And he's in Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. He's in a lot of different stuff from the 90s. I'm trying to find, because I know that there's another one, because he does a lot of voice work as well.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Rachel, I think you like this one because, you know, this is very important. He's the voice of Earl Sinclair.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh god, yes. Mm-hmm. That's a very important one.
Yeah. So he's around, but yeah, he's more of like a comedy actor, and like he's just like, can you believe it? This thing's talking.
Right. Yeah. It's just so random to me.
And then I think that the lady next to him is also, I can't remember her name, but I think that she's also like a voice actor, comedic actor. And I think part of this is because it's part of Frank Marshall's people. Like, it's like somebody that Frank Marshall trusts, so like he brings them in to do this like a little bit part, as they do.
Moira is Mary Ellen Trainor.
Okay, yeah. And I know that name.
Goonies, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. She's in a bunch of junk.
Forrest Gump. The Outsiders.
Was she like some random soch in The Outsiders?
Rhonda Sue's mother.
Huh.
How?
So she's somebody in the background of The Outsiders?
I guess.
Does that technically put her on the Kevin Dunn list of
I don't
two-timers
know, I
in
guess.
the same season?
Maybe.
I guess it really should be the Patrick Swayze list, but we haven't.
Oh God, Patrick Swayze.
We haven't gotten to that yet. Okay, so.
Anyways, but yeah, then we also it goes to the two comedians who make this seem more of a comedy to me. So this is why I was constantly confused as to what genre I was watching. And then it goes to Tim Curry, who also, to me, is a comedic actor. Okay? Yeah, I know he was but that doesn't count to me. He was still a comedic thing in that one.
I love Tim Curry. Tim Curry he's a fantastic actor. He's so much fun in everything that he does. He gets
so into it.
Ursula Harmoka.
But yeah,
Romania.
Oh my God. The It's so bad. But yeah, he does do this, like, I'm an evil guy with my evil eye ring and everything in the crowd.
He's plotting something, yeah.
He's plotting. There's plots. We got plots.
So it transitions into an eye. We've got plots here. It transitions into an eye that Amy painted, and then there's another eye.
Yes.
And then there's a gray gorilla, and then Amy wakes up going, wah, wah, having a gorilla nightmare.
Yes.
Which I thought was hilarious.
I mean, it's sad too. Like,
It's sad.
They're having a nightmare. Yeah. It's not fun.
So Peter is mad about the nightmares, and just like a married couple, they're like trying to get Amy to calm down.
Right.
And what he doesn't want to happen is that gorillas have, in captivity, sometimes they degenerate mentally because they don't have enough stimulation because they're in captivity. So it's not really what would happen to Amy because she's getting stimulation.
She's getting a lot of stimulation. I thought that was really odd that he would say something like that. I'm like, you guys give her like as much stimulation as flippin' possible. Maybe she's overstimulated. Like, this is why she's having nightmares. She's overstimulated.
I mean, unless there's a primatologist that's listening to Shelf Life, but I hope that there is.
Please
let us know. Is it that, or is there another? Yeah, how accurate is Congo? Or is it something else where they just degenerate because they're not in their natural environment? I don't know.
Yeah, is that a real thing? Does that actually happen? How does that, like, I want to know a bit more of the science on that if it's real. But that's just me. I might actually research that one.
Rachel's side podcast called Shelf Life Science, blog where she goes through all the science of our episodes.
I like the idea.
Can you really turn back
Maybe
time
I'll
by
blog
going
it
really fast?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
I read after we did that was supposed to be metaphorical. It wasn't supposed to be literally him going that fast. That like he just has that power, and that.
Wait, so he can just turn back time?
I don't know. So
we're not even whatever. Anyways,
so Peter is like, she started getting better. She stopped having the nightmares as frequently when she started painting. And what does the room look like now? It looks like a jungle because she's painted a jungle. She's tried to make the house look like a jungle. So then Peter is asking the dean of the college. He wants to send her back to the jungle. And I'm going to stop you right here, Dr. Elliot, because that sounds like a terrible idea.
It sounds like a horrible idea.
You have introduced this gorilla to sign language and Taco Bell and martinis.
Which we'll get into
later. She's not going to survive in the jungle.
No, and him and them, and human interaction. Like, does she get other gorilla interaction? It doesn't seem like it. There doesn't seem to be any other gorillas that they have her interacting with, just humans. So it's like, how are you gonna like just introduce her back into the wild? You can't just like, okay, bye, have fun. Hopefully they take you in and they don't just go, who's this weird shit?
I have a laundry list of discussion points when we get to the end of the movie, but one of them is going to be that I feel like they should have set up Amy's backstory in a way where she was captured or injured or something when she was young.
Right.
Because otherwise it feels like, and I'm guessing that is what happened, but she was apparently born in the mountain.
Right.
And then something happened where she went into captivity, and then Peter took care of her and trained her on how to do this, and now he wants to take her back. Which I guess is something you might be able to do, because if they were born in captivity, you for sure cannot take them into the wild. But
typically,
I guess maybe
there's different ways of introducing animals into the wild or reintroducing them into the wild after like so many years or treatments or whatever. But the way that they're taking care of this gorilla, there is absolutely no way that they could just be like, yeah, let's just drop her back off. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
She's not being like, she doesn't have that the right stimulus to be like, okay, well, she's going to be swinging through trees and she's going to be climbing stuff and she has to find her own, like, forage for her own food and all of these types of things, like, that a lot of zoos, like the good zoos, do for those animals. They force them to, like, well, they have to forage for the food that we're going to give them and all of that type of stuff to keep them stimulated and to keep them more wild. So it's just, I don't know. I don't agree with this.
And maybe it is just like it should, like there needs to be stages for them to get to this point, or
right?
something. But the dean is basically like, look, you did great. You could probably get a bunch of grants to do different things, but like you're not going to be able to get rid of her now. Like you just showed that she can do this stuff, and you're going to send her
why
back.
do you want to get rid of her? Like, that's so stupid.
And he tries to sell it like, well, she could. I think he wants to do like a Jane Goodall type of thing.
Yeah.
Because he's like, no, she is going to go back into what's a group of gorillas called? A clan, a tribe,
A troop.
a troop. Okay, so she's going to join a troop, a goof troop of gorillas. She's going to teach them sign language. So then he's going to do research about Amy teaching these gorillas.
So then
sign
my
language.
thought is, is he looking for getting a grant so that he can live out in the jungle with Amy? And like
Maybe.
Amy comes back and like reports in like, okay, I was able to teach the young ones, but the silverback hates me, so I don't think that's gonna work. Like,
I think it's supposed to be like Amy gets the gorillas via sign language to trust Peter, and then Peter can talk to the entire troop of gorillas. And then if that can happen, like, then you got a documentary on your hands.
I mean, holy crap, you really have a
That's a-
Then they really need like a whole troop of people watching them. So they have a troop of people and a troop of gorillas, and then everything's happening out in the jungle.
That's like what that guy that made Grizzly Man wanted to do, but it's with gorillas. Because it'd be like him living with these gorillas. And it'd be like day 295. The one gorilla handed me a banana. I think I've earned his trust.
And said, thank you.
They called me a good gorilla instead of ugly Peter. They called me ugly Peter for the first 92. Ugly Peter.
Oh my god.
Amy,
good naked gorilla.
They told me to take my clothes off if I wanted to join them. So, as the Dean and Peter are talking, we get Herculer Hoboka. I will pay. I will pay for Amy to go home. And Tim Curry joins the movie. He's a Romanian philanthropist
Yeah.
doing this crazy accent. I don't know if this is...
Okay. I thought...
Yep,
it
go
was
ahead.
Fake in the movie.
Yep.
I thought there was
Yes.
going to be a big reveal, and he's like, all right, fine. I don't actually have an accent, and like this whole thing was
Yeah.
no, it doesn't.
I would have
Spoiler
liked that
alert.
twist. And
It doesn't.
They kind of make a point of that in the movie, too, because there's a point where they find out why he's really there. And I think Dr. Ross is like, oh, he's probably not even really Romanian. And Ernie Hudson's character is like, no, he's Romanian. And it's like, they had to, like, enforce the fact that, like,
Yes.
no, he's Romanian.
No,
like,
he really is. Yeah.
They,
It's
like, tossed
what?
that away. And it would have been better if it was,
I think
like
it
you're
would have
saying,
been better.
Like, he's full of shit. And that's how he's
Right.
dragging up money or something.
He
yeah.
uses these personas to like fake that he's rich, and then like I'm a little disappointed they didn't do that.
Yes. It's one of my improvements to the movie. So Peter decides to take the money from Hershker Hermoka. Herculer Hermoka. That sounds like such a fake fucking name. Like, did Tim Curry come up with that? Was Tim Curry like,
Herculer.
I'll do your movie, but I'm only doing it if I can name the character Herculer Hermoka, because it's so insane. This
just
character,
don't know.
I do know, Rachel, is not in the book.
Oh,
Hermoka is not a character in the book.
you know what? Could see that. I could see that. I could see that being one of the things the movie did.
Because they needed, like, a antagonist, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, they have one. The whole damn company's one. So why do they need like multiple
Yeah.
weird antagonists? It's
When we get to Ross later in this, too, like, they should have played her up as being more villainous.
well,
and
okay.
turning face
See, this was my problem with
as
her
the
character.
story goes.
That is my problem with her character, is that she acts like a face at the company, but then in the jungle she acts like an evil character, and I'm just like, are you putting on a show? Like, are you bad? Are you the good guy in a bad situation? I don't understand.
And they don't lean into it.
They don't lean into
either way
anything.
well
So
enough.
she just
I
kind
don't
of
think they
like
lean into
acts
it
like all the time, and you're just like, is
She's
that
a
your
sassy
character?
lady. Yeah.
It's not even like a sassy. She's just kind of like annoying sometimes. You're just like, I don't understand you. Does she ever turn heel? I don't know. Not really.
No, she doesn't turn heel. She never turns heel.
I'm sorry, she doesn't turn
she's-
face.
No, I
I
yeah,
think
she
she's
does.
like, no, she doesn't. To me, she's just a constant neutral.
A tweener. I again will say what I think would have improved it at the end. Her story arc.
Anyway.
Stay tuned, everyone, for the end of the episode. An hour and a half from now. It does this thing where Amy's reading a 3D Safari book, which I thought was weird. She realizes he's going to take her back. So he's telling her, like, we're going to take you back to the jungle. We're going to take you home.
Right.
Peter's partner is terrified. It's like, dude, don't go then. Why do you need to come if you're going to be terrified about it? Amy asked to be tickled. Okay,
Why?
So we have to say this, and I know I'm stealing from multiple things. Peter wants to fuck Amy, right?
Okay,
Like,
see,
there's, like,
this is my problem. No. See, this is my problem because the movie goes there too. I have an issue with that because they're way too of a fatherly-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
But there are weird points where he's like she's
what?
clearly imprinted on him. But
That's possible.
At the end, though, she's calling her his mother, because when she saves him, she's like, Amy, mother Peter.
Right.
So she like thinks of that as a
she imprinted
relationship.
on him as like a family, a familial.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a mate, a relationship like that.
No.
But it like annoyed me because I'm like, no, she's way too childish with like the way that he treats her. That's disgusting. That like you're telling me this is like molestation on the bestiality spectrum, and I just think that's gross.
Who is saying that? The movie?
The movie points that out too. They seem like a married couple, and like they say shit like that all the time, and I'm like, he seems like a father figure. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, and it just like creeps me out.
I don't know.
I would hope he doesn't want to fuck the gorilla. That's gross.
I don't think he wants to have sex with the gorilla, but he does want Amy to be more like a it's his companion.
Yeah, but
Amy
I don't think
his companion.
But not in like a sexual way.
He's feeding this thing martinis.
We haven't gotten to the martinis. We have mentioned them so many times. We haven't even gotten to the martinis yet.
Okay, so
it
we
is
are
like
at
having
the airport.
a pet. It is like having a child and a pet, and I refuse to go away from that. I'm just saying.
Yes.
But I think she
refuse
is
as
probably
well.
old enough for those martinis.
So
She just
I will,
acts like a
I will
child.
say, I don't really get that vibe either. Jason Mantzoukas definitely does, and they make it very, very funny.
Oh, I'm not surprised. You saying that, and now I can hear him say that, and now it's like bringing up
He wants to fuck
memories
that
of
monkey.
this episode.
Yeah. When you actually watch it, it is more of like a father-daughter type of relationship.
Right.
Or like you said, like a pet or something.
Like a child, like some like that, or a pet. To me, that's way more of the relationship than something.
Amy is 7. She tells
So
us.
she's okay. All right. How
Amy
many?
7. How old are you, Amy? Amy 7. She's 14 in human years.
Still weird now. Anyways.
So at the airport, Hermoka is confronted by a pilot while Peter and Amy are packing, because they're just going to go, the three of them. And Karen Ross introduces herself to Peter. I thought she was lying about being a professor. She says she's Dr. Karen Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she really is a doctor, but like we find out later that she was in the CIA. And now she's in like telecommunications, so maybe she is a
CIA
doctor?
professor, the telecommunications. I don't
Cannot
know.
figure
That
it out. So
sketchy
maybe
ass
she's
company.
lying. I don't know.
If she,
She wants to join up with the group, and she's been insisting on Peter to let her join, but he's been ignoring her calls. So there's some sort of mix-up going on because they're tossing the stuff back off of the plane because Hermoka does not have the funds to pay for the fuel for the plane.
So you skipped over something though. You gotta also mention the fact that Amy knows that they're talking to each other as well, and she is jealous, and she doesn't want him talking to others, and she's calling her ugly.
Ugly woman. She's calling her an
Tickle
ugly
Amy.
woman, yeah.
Tickle Amy. Why does it constantly want tickles? That's like weird.
It's like getting pet. It's like petting a dog.
I guess, but Tickle Amy is all I
kinda
could
weird,
say for like days after I watched this because it was so dumb. So every once in a while we just go Tickle Amy. Comedy. I'm telling you, I'm so confused.
So Ross gets to come because they ran out of money, and she's
Right.
like, I'm your only hope. So she gets to come along on this safari.
Right.
And she's got all the visas, and I assume all of the malaria shots. Jimmy Buffett is the pilot. Have you know here?
Is that
So
a
you get
joke?
Cameo from Jimmy.
Is
Nope,
it?
that is
No.
Jimmy Buffett.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes.
What?
That is Jimmy Buffett as a cameo as the pilot, because he's got his own plane. You know, he's a big pilot. So
Oh
he's
my
in this
God.
movie as the pilot.
That's so weird. What a
Peter-
weird movie to cameo. Okay.
Yeah, very weird. So they're on the plane, and Peter is mad at Ross because she's making Amy jealous, to the point where Amy puts her seatbelt on, and to reward Amy, Peter gives her an egg. I guess she's just gonna eat this egg.
An egg. I'm assuming a hard-boiled egg, right? 'Cause-
Yeah, was she gonna eat it whole? Like, what the hell? And then Amy throws the egg at Dr. Ross.
Right.
Which I enjoyed very much. And Peter's like, Amy, we don't throw things.
Well, yeah.
So-
I mean, we didn't even talk about this. She's not in a cage.
No, she's
Amy
just
is
sitting-
not in a cage. She's
She
just
can't
sitting
be in a
seat.
cage. She's, like, domesticated at this
But
point.
that's
Like,
my problem with this. They're taking her to the jungle as if she's just going to be able to live without luxuries of humans.
but you can't put her in a cage. That would be cool, too. And I do love that throughout this entire movie. And I get that, like, maybe in Congo, seeing a gorilla is more akin to seeing, you know, something more not as exotic as, like, if I were to walk down the street and a gorilla is just walking down the street. But that's how everyone in this movie treats Amy.
Yes.
Like, yeah, there's a gorilla. Like,
Right.
it's just like, yeah, there's a gorilla there. Yes, she's sitting in the seat.
Yeah, so she throws the egg. Well, then he gives her, like, celery instead. I'm like, okay, you know, I guess she could have thrown the celery, too. Honestly, I think she should have thrown the celery as well. And then requested her drink.
We're going to the jungle.
Amy, want, green drop, drink.
No.
Amy, want, green drop, drink.
I thought was going to be like a smoothie. I'm like, all right, green drink, smoothie, sure.
Nope, it's a martini.
It's a martini!
And they even point out, they're even like, you're giving the gorilla a martini. And Peter's reaction is not to say, like, yes, it'll calm her down, or, like, it's okay if a gorilla has alcohol, I guess.
Well, he does say
He's
it
just
does
like,
calm her.
oh, does he? Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I only heard she's allowed to have one. Like it's like a treat. Yeah, this is where I put, how is this ape going to survive in the wild? You're
Yes!
You're
There's
getting
a
this
goddamn
ape.
ape
alcohol.
sitting in a chair in a jet, all right, with a seatbelt on, drinking a
With a
martini.
box of scraps.
Drinking a martini.
At this point, Hermoka talks about, because Ross is worried that the gorilla is going to freak out and murder everyone on the plane. And Hermoka's like, well, you know, sometime there is the myth of the gray gorilla. And Peter's like, that's all a bunch of phooey. Gorillas are super peaceful and nice and everybody loves them. And he's like, that's the King Kong myth about, like, gorillas that are aggressive and stuff.
Well,
It's
even
weird that
King
they
Kong
call-
wasn't that aggressive.
No,
Technically, King
that's
Kong
what I was
was
gonna
also
say.
like
King Kong was pretty peaceful.
he was the king. He was supposed to just keep peace on his island. He was like,
That's right.
We were doing fine. If a dinosaur's
Kong
gonna act
on
like an
the
ass,
list.
I'm gonna fight him. But that's
All three of the King Kong movies that are currently out there will be watched on this show as well. We get the burp sound effect, which throws me out of the movie.
I'm telling
And
you.
I'm assuming this is where you're going to say comedy.
Again,
This is
these
where-
are all my weird points of like, it has to be a comedy, and I'm just constantly going, it has to be.
I realized this isn't a very good movie because you put the burp. Like, that's a stock burp, that sound effect. So they're still on the plane. Ross and Elliot are bonding, I guess. And this is where she asks why teach an ape. And he gives this philosophical answer. And then he really says that he did it out of loneliness. And he tries to... this is where it gets... That's where the relationship comes in of, like, how are you going to give up Amy? Are you going to go get a new ape to teach sign language? He confronts her as to say why she's going, and you'd think they'd have asked before letting her come along. Like,
yes!
what is your purpose of wanting to fund this? Because at least Hermoka's like, I feel... He's lying, but he's like,
right.
I feel spiritually connected to seeing Amy, talk, and I want to let her back in the wild or whatever.
Right. I want to help you do what you want to do.
They land in Central Africa. Very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Pantoliano. I'm playing Eddie Vetro. I'm going to get you his stuff. I'm Joey Pants.
Oh.
So it's very strange that Joey Pantoliano is in this movie. But here he is, and Hermoka inquires, because they're like, whoa, a talking gorilla. You don't see that every day. Yeah, could get a pretty few bucks out of her.
Yeah, he does
and
sound
Hermoka's
kind of like a taxi driver that wants to, abduct the gorilla. It's very weird. It's very weird.
It's supposed to be this, midpoint that Ross's company sent this guy to, get them supplies and shit. Because there's shit going on in the background. A car explodes.
Yeah,
there's just all of these,
almost...
military guys. And this is where you kind of find out that, there's a revolution. There's, a civil war going on, I think is the idea. Because as we all know, every country in Africa, constant civil wars. Just all the time.
My God.
But again, it's supposed to be Heart of Darkness, right? It's supposed to be King Solomon's Mines.
It is supposed to be kind of that extreme of each. Yeah.
But in the 90s, I'm sure that I know that there was upheaval in some of these areas, but they keep getting told
there's still some areas that are
sure.
very
but they keep getting told
way,
Congo's it's really bad in the Congo right now and stuff like that.
So, I mean, I guess that they're just setting up for that. I don't know why.
Oh, I also put down that they waste their one fuck. Because it's PG-13. And at some point, she asks Eddie a question, and Eddie replies with, fuck if I know. And I was like, that's what you wasted your fuck on? You only got one.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, you probably don't even hear it.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Eddie says that he's gotten Monroe Kelly to guide them. And Monroe Kelly we'll get to because I actually really like this character.
No, I do too. Honestly, he's kind of cool.
I kind of want Ernie Hudson to play him in a different movie.
I think he's a good actor. So I'm like, I'll take it.
So Eddie fired the guy that Peter was going to have guide them through because he was like, yeah, you would hire that guy. You need Monroe. He's better. He gets you through. You'd be dead if you used that other guy. Here comes Monroe. It's Ernie Hudson doing an accent, and it's supposed to be, I think it's part African, and it's part British, and it's a really suave accent.
I like it, though.
Karen Ross.
That's me.
Monroe Kelly. I'm your great white hunter for this trip, though I happen to be black.
I was like, ooh, I'm into it.
So Ernie Hudson, for those that are wondering or haven't seen the movie, is Winston from Ghostbusters, is his most famous role. According to the IMDb trivia that I looked up, it says that Ernie Hudson has said this is one of his favorite roles he's ever done.
It's such a fun character.
I want this character. Okay, so this was the character that when Michael Crichton was writing the book, he was thinking of it for Sean Connery.
Oh, no,
because it's supposed to be it's the Great White Hunter. That's the theme.
Oh, he does have that line. He says, "I'm your great white hunter. I just happen to be black," and I love it.
It's such a good line. I loved it. So good. It's just the way he says it. If they were to make a movie called The Great White Hunter or The White African or something like that, starring Ernie Hudson as Monroe Kelly, sign me up right now.
It would be fun.
I want that movie because this character is so good, and he's just this so, mercenary type guy.
And it's just fun.
Yeah, he's just got this swagger. If just do a spin-off movie of this, Paramount or I just do it. Just do it. I don't even care. I know Ernie Hudson's kind of an older gentleman now, but he can still go.
Though, as an older gentleman. Oh, come on. Very Sean Connery then.
Yeah, exactly.
Very Sean Connery.
I really like this guy. I think the character is really fun. It's just like because he's just so confident and just like I'm going to get you through this, and it's
he's
it's
kind
really
of a
good.
badass. Yeah.
So he immediately is like, they weren't able to kill the president. We're going to need an alternative. So he just steals this army truck right away. And he's like, do you have a lot of money? And she's like, yes. And he's like, good. Get in the truck.
I love that. So this is where I feel like they do play into that, like, oh, this is going to get a giggle because it's like, it's so good, but it's like, so it has that a bit of a comedic, but it's also kind of actiony. And it's like,
this is it's the camp. It is the Mummy. It's supposed to be, I guarantee you there's dozens of movies, probably because of King Kong, made in the 30s, 40s, 50s of, we're going to Africa and there's going to be monsters and stuff like that. That's a trope, or that's a genre. Like, I think that is what they're trying to do here. Mm-hmm. It's just modernized, and they keep putting too much and not enough in at the same time.
Yes.
They're in this army truck. They're in this back of this army truck. Monroe lights a cigarette and Amy insists on taking it. So now Amy is smoking a cigarette.
Yes. Like, what is with this gorilla?
And the
is she,
coward
like, in her
scientist.
Rebellious teenage years, because it's just so weird to me.
Yeah, why did she know to smoke it? Like, wouldn't her first instinct have been to bite it?
Or the smell would make her cough, and she'd throw it away or something.
Which
me, that's
makes
what
me
happened.
think. But that means to me that Peter has been giving Amy cigarettes.
Yes. I mean, she's drinking alcohol. She's smoking cigarettes. I don't know about this.
So Monroe is like, basically what's happening is one of the leaders of the central countries, they change a lot, and when they do, they tend to murder everybody. And things are pretty bad in the Congo right now. Peter's like, oh, so you're a criminal. And he tells them that he's a gun runner. He runs some guns. Yeah. He's like, but you're a scientist, and you fuck up the world all the time. Really understand what he means by that, but he's like, you sons of bitches ruin the world. Which, get his point. Like,
I don't
nowadays
know,
we gotta...
a weird take.
Put your trust in science, folks.
A little
but
bit
I get his
more,
point
yeah.
From some standpoints of, you do, excavations.
Okay, I think I have
tear
a
up
thought
Africa.
about it. Yeah.
Okay,
so I like the excavation parts of it too, and I also think because it's a take on Jurassic Park and stuff like that, maybe he's also thinking biological, where you're fucking around with genetics and things of that nature, and you're screwing
Which is
up,
what
screwing up nature,
we find
you're
out
screwing
at
up
the end.
science, blah blah blah. So I think those are the parts that he's hitting on. Yes.
I like that take, because I think it does make sense that would be a theme for the movie, leave nature alone.
Yeah.
Which in the book I think is a lot more of the theme.
Okay.
Because the gray gorillas are supposed to be mutates that they bred.
Seem well, okay. I know we haven't even gotten there, but the gray gorillas to me seem kind of like ancient gorillas that are protectors of nature, protectors of the jungle. That's what they seem to me they're the ancient gorillas, they're the ancient animal that protects the nature.
Interesting, because I don't think that's what it's supposed to symbolize, but we'll get there.
Okay,
we'll get there. I think there's a missed opportunity here in this relationship between Monroe and Hermoka, because Monroe thinks he recognizes him, Tim Curry, and asks what and just have him know who he is.
Right.
Just be like, Hermoka, why are you back?
I think he does. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true.
But Hermoka's maybe.
Enough.
Yeah. Say
Again, though, that's where it makes me go, he kind of I feel like I know you under a different alias. That's why I kept thinking it's gonna come out, and it doesn't. But that's where I was like, okay. So maybe
that would have been better,
right? Because he does know him, but he doesn't know him as Hermoka, and the accent doesn't make any sense to him.
Maybe that was supposed to be part of it, because that makes a lot of sense. Then when eventually Hermoka is found out by some captain in the army that they need to bribe for men. Mm-hmm. And he's like, this piece of shit, he keeps calling Hermoka.
Right.
And that's when, like, more of the, like, the reason for what Hermoka is comes out. But it would make more sense then, too, Monroe to be like, that's who you are. I remember who you are. You're not
And then he says,
shirker.
yeah, you're...
And then he goes,
and then he
oh,
gives him a
right, I'm
name.
not. I'm
Right.
Tim Curry. Like, yeah, that would have been better. 1000%.
Part of me feels like they were kind of leading for that, and then they gave up on it.
Gave
for
it
some
up?
reason.
Yeah.
But I feel like they shouldn't have. Again, that is something I would change.
Monroe realizes that Ross is using the monkey. I keep calling... My apologies to apes everywhere. Monroe realizes that Ross is using the gorilla for cover. And it's quicker to say monkey. Gorilla's 3
but
syllables.
gorilla.
It's
more fun to say.
Magilla gorilla. And he's like, I know why you're here, and I figured out why he's here, but I don't know why she's here. And for the type of money that their company is throwing around, it's not for a gorilla. And they get to some sort of military checkpoint. They get caught. The scientists are getting interrogated.
Oh my god.
And coward scientists who you find... I did not realize until he's, spoiler alert, dead at the end of the movie, that his name was Richard. He tells Peter that this is so Kafka.
Yes.
And the guard interrogating them goes, who is Kafka?
Yes.
You tell me.
You didn't notice that? Oh my god.
And I loved it.
This is
Because it was just...
Yes.
But it is... Imagine it's 1995 and you're going in thinking that this is either Jurassic Park or a thriller about killer gorillas.
Yes.
And you have a guard in Congo shouting into this guy's face, who is Kafka? You tell me!
Right.
Like, it's just so like, oh my god, what are we watching?
Yes,
Taco
it
Bell told me that this was going to be Jurassic Park. In a mansion now, so like they're getting interrogated, but
Yes.
meanwhile in a mansion, Monroe is meeting with this captain of this military.
Right.
And Ross and Hermoka are with him. So Delroy Lindo is playing Captain Wanata. Delroy Lindo is a very good actor in a lot of different stuff. Rachel, you probably recognized him. He
I do
weirdly
recognize
goes
his face, yeah.
he goes uncredited in this movie, which is kind of weird because this is a
weird.
fun scene, but it is out of place. So he asks them to please sit, have some coffee and cake.
Yes.
And Delroy Lindo says, like, she used to work for the CIA because he's
Yes.
like, you're lying to them.
Right,
And
yes.
Monroe was like, we need a truck and 10 good men to get through the border. And he's like, well... So then they put some cash on the table and he's like, not enough. At this point, they put more cash on the table. Hermoka's
Yes.
eating the sesame cake. And I legit laughed at this. I might have done a little laugh applause thing.
Mr. Homoka? Oh. Stop eating my sesame cake. Stop eating my sesame cake!
I might have giggled at that too.
Stop eating my sesame cake! And then Hermoka just takes it out of his mouth.
Yeah, he spits it out.
It's just the choices that Delroy Lindo makes with this character are
'cause he knows
so
the guy.
good.
Right.
Because it's just like, I'm just going to have
It's
fun
like,
in
you
this
two
scene,
can
I
eat
guess.
my cake, but you cannot eat my cake. Like, it's like
Because
one
he's
of
a
those
piece of
things.
shit.
He's a piece
Yeah,
of
well,
shit.
this
and
is
it's
where
like,
he calls him a
yes.
piece of shit. He's a big piece of shit. Because he owes money to everything. Oh, he calls him a bag of shit. Because he owes money to everybody.
It's even
He
worse.
kicks him out of the mansion, actually. Okay, he takes the money and he puts it in this paper bag. And then he takes a stapler and he staples it shut and he
Yes.
goes, I don't want anybody peeking. And
Yeah,
it's
that was so
such, like,
weird.
it's such this, like, weird choice. I kind of love it.
improvised for some reason. For some reason,
Yes, it really
feels
does. It feels like
improvised.
it feels like they
for
told
some
Delroy
reason, he's
Lindo,
like, "Oh,
just have fun.
I'm grabbing a stapler. I'm stapling this bag shut. It'll be great."
Yes. The captain basically tells them that they're going to get across the border because of this gorilla. Because no one wants to be seen in an American movie being mean to a gorilla. Which, again, is that supposed to be, like, social commentary on nobody cares about, like, the civil... Because he's like, for the next year, my country's going to be in shit because of, like, the stuff they saw at the airport.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to try to, like, take care of it.
Right.
But you guys are going to get through because you got a gorilla and they're endangered.
I think that's part of it. I don't know if it's also a commentary on animals over humans as well.
Could be.
Like, you can shoot another human being and nobody bats an eye, but you shoot a gorilla and everybody's going to go crazy.
And we should bat an eye at all of it.
Oh, God,
but I
yes.
am I love animals more than people. Because people had their chance and have failed.
People are kind of assholes.
So we should probably give it back to the animals. Which, fun fact, I don't know if everybody knows this or not. If humans were to cease to exist, which is going to happen sooner than later, this podcast will be listened to primarily elephants. Apparently, elephants will become the dominant species on the planet.
Of course they would.
Us here.
Of course they would. Oh, yeah, I knew that one. I love
because apparently
that fact.
Elephants are very smart.
They are. They're incredibly intelligent.
And they think we are their puppies.
Yeah.
Like
Isn't that
same...
a cute fact?
But if you are a gorilla that has evolved in the future to listen to Shelf Life,
oh yes,
welcome.
I hope
that it's going well. I hope it doesn't look like the Planet of the Apes future. I hope it's more of a democratic, open society that Shelf Life hasn't been censored because of the regime in charge of Ape World or whatever you call it.
Could you imagine? Only the episodes we do that have gorillas in them are allowed.
That could be true. That could be true. So you're definitely listening to Congo then. So they go get the scientists, they grab them, they take them out. And Ross is like, aren't you glad I'm here now? And they are traveling across different landscapes. They go through different checkpoints. They go through different countries. So they are at Tanzania to get made up with their help. And Monroe's got a buddy there. There's like all these guys that Delroy Lindo has assigned to help them get through to the volcano.
Yeah.
And they're going on this small plane. There's a bunch of cargo going with them. And this is where they refer to Amy and Peter as husband and wife. The crew does.
Yeah, it's weird.
And this is where Monroe confronts Hermoka about finding Solomon's lost city. And I guess now Monroe figured it out. Hermoka went on a safari to try to find it, and everybody except Hermoka ended up dead. And this is where we find out that, he is Romanian. He's just, he was lying to you.
This is where the spin would have been taken. This is where he would have done the big reveal that he's not actually the Romanian with that name or whatever. But instead it just hammers it in. It's like,
because otherwise it's like, why... Otherwise, why did you let him come along if, he didn't have the money?
Right.
Why did Ross let him come along?
Why did they let him go? If he's a bag of shit, why'd you, let him go? I don't understand.
So strange. Eddie shows up again, and he's like, I got you all this stuff, Dr. Ross. All this good stuff. Don't you think you have enough firepower? While on the plane, the rebels are shooting at them because they're violating airspace now. And they're shooting these, heat-seeking rocket launchers. So Monroe is planning for this. He kind of planned for this. So he puts a sedative in a banana and feeds it to Amy.
Sure.
To knock her out.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Did you see Fair enough. You're asking a gorilla to jump out of a plane. That's not going to happen. The gorilla didn't even want to be on the first plane, so I don't
No, she was like Amy the ground, or she's like Peter the ground is gone.
Yeah. Where's the ground? Which is what I ask every time I'm on a plane, too.
So they have to first take care of the rebels. So Ross takes out a flare.
This is dumb.
Kicks the door open, and then uses the flare to take out the heat seekers. And then Monroe grabs another one, and they both do it.
I guess she's a badass because she was in the CIA.
She was in the CIA.
Okay. I don't know. It was dumb. I'm sorry.
It was very quick thinking. But that's what I mean by, there's all these, little set pieces like this, where it's wait, how did they... Okay. And then this kind of moves on, because they shoot them out, and then they're like, we're going to have to jump out of this plane.
Yes.
And the crew all gears up, jump out of the plane. They're throwing the gear out as well. And these people are forced to jump. I love that Hermoka is like, please kick me, because I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it myself.
I just need you to just push me as hard as you can. Yeah, throw me out of the plane.
I love, and folks, go back. There are so many stuntmen visible jumping out of this plane. It's kind of hilarious. And to the credit, it does look like they actually did some thing. I don't know if they actually jumped out of a plane or not, but you can see that there are doubles. They might have. Well, they didn't go to Congo to film. They used Costa Rica as a surrogate. But they did go to Costa Rica for a lot of the filming here. But they jump out of this plane. So it's a very 90s thing, I think, to have skydiving. Only because I always think of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I think of, like,
a lot of falling
not
in the
Cliffhanger,
sky.
Point Break. Yeah, but, like, feels like skydiving was a very 90s thing.
Well, it is an adventure type of thing, right? Being in a plane and it's going down and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to jump out of the plane.
Think like Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider, and I would imagine that at some point they're going to be jumping out of a plane. Even Uncharted, they do the same thing. So I think that this is their action adventure part, but it's just so.
Well, the twist is that they did it with a gorilla.
Yeah, the twist is that they did it with a gorilla
that jumps out of the plane. But Monroe like puts Amy like around his waist.
Yes.
And jumps out of the plane with Amy because Monroe is such a badass that he's like, I'll take the gorilla with.
Right.
It's fine.
I mean, you want a person who's probably done something like this before.
Okay, yeah.
Taking the gorilla.
Hang on.
But did they even strap the gorilla to him?
Yeah, like, you gotta... that's what I'm saying. Like, she's knocked out. Like, how did you make sure that you're, like, gonna be able to hold on to Amy? He says that she kind of woke up a little bit on the way down, and she started, like, biting him, so she must have, like, been gripping him tight. But, like, I feel like if a gorilla realized... So she must have still been pretty sedated, because if a gorilla realized, oh, holy shit, I'm falling to the ground, she would have crushed him by sheer just, like, trying to hang on to him.
Right. Yeah, he would have looked a little bloody.
So
broken.
I've never gone skydiving. I'm never going to go skydiving. So folks at home or ladies that are online dating and they put like skydiving as a hobby, it's not going to happen. But
I think I would.
I'm sure you would. Okay. But I've always heard that the first time you go skydiving, you pass out.
It's possible.
So like, you're going to tell me that Peter and Hermoka don't pass out jumping out of this plane?
Yeah, you'd think they would have. Well, I mean, they probably don't have the gear for it. But you'd think they would have grabbed the ones who don't know how to do it.
And did like a double dive.
It. Yes. Yeah. If you go skydiving anyways, you're not going to go alone.
No.
They're going to have you hooked to somebody.
Never skydive alone unless you're an experienced professional. That's a shelf life lesson.
Even if you're an extreme professional, you're not doing it alone.
The rebels shoot the plane out of the sky at this point after they land, and I guess now they're undercover because they would have thought that they killed them, but there's no way out now for them because I assume that they were going to take that back. But Monroe also says like he kind of thought they were going to get further before they got shot, so who knows? Peter wants to call it off because he's like, okay, I'm not James Bond, he says. I'm in way over my head. Like, we're going to call this off. And Monroe's like, no, I'll take care of it. And he's like, no, I don't want you to take care of this. Look, we're in the jungle, man.
Yeah, at this point, you're in the jungle. It's too late.
You're either going to follow me or you're going to die. Like, that's the choices you have.
There isn't going back at this point. Just keep going. You're in it.
There are these little scenes where Amy is playing with, like, an iguana and stuff, which I guess is just like that. It's just supposed to show that she's, like, enjoying the jungle. She's remembering it.
I guess so.
She's getting nostalgic for the jungle.
Or she's just, like, intrigued by the animals that she doesn't get to interact with.
Yeah, she doesn't
and,
get to
like,
interact
all the wonders of the jungle. Because I also wonder if she realizes that she's being sent here to live.
To stay. Yeah.
Or if
how much of that is...
Oh, we're going to go there and I'm going to get to see the jungle for like the first time and we're going to go on vacation and then we're going to come home and I'm going to have my martini and we're going to cuddle in bed.
Well, like at some point she asks Peter, like, I want to go home now, Peter. And Peter's like, we are going home, Amy. We're taking you home. But I don't think she gets that.
No, I don't think she does.
Yeah.
Which feels rude considering you can talk to your gorilla. So maybe you should have explained it to her better.
How do you explain to her, though, like, we think that you need to go back to the jungle. We're going to leave you in the jungle. But again, we don't really know what Peter's...
We stay here.
Yeah, but again, we don't really know, is that Peter's endgame? Is he going to...
I know. I don't know. We don't know what anybody's endgame really truly is.
Yes. Okay, at this point, Monroe is like, so why did you quit the CIA? And she's like, I never worked for the CIA. And he's like, of course you didn't. But if you did, why would you have quit the CIA? So she's like, because they were a loveless bunch of sons of bitches. And I guess this is supposed to be like all of the team, like, bonding.
They're a bunch of loveless sons of bitches, and I'm going to go work for this evil telemarketing company. I'm sorry, not telemarketing, telecommunications. Maybe they are telemarketers.
This here's my telemarketing. I need those diamonds for telemarketing.
It's
I'm gonna
cubic
sell
zirconium,
them.
and they're not real. And like, he's like faking that they're real.
Oh, I would love that. If he wanted them to actually be cubic zirconias the whole time.
But yeah, I think this is like more of a bonding situation where we get to know more about the characters. But it's
because
like...
this is supposed to be the whole like them on the hike, on the safari. They have these nice tents set up. They have air conditioning even. Again, Monroe goes to Hermoka and asks, but this time he's like trying to like get Hermoka to say like, why do you think she's here? What are we doing? Like, why is Ross part of this?
Right.
Meanwhile, Peter is chasing Amy around the camp and like playing with Amy.
Right.
They talk about the city of Zinja again, and it's like, we've already talked about this. We get it. King Solomon's Mines. Like, yeah, we got it.
Right.
We've been over this. And Monroe insists it's not real. That other guy comes and feeds Amy vitamins while Peter's tickling Amy.
Yes,
and again, it's like
so
the couple
weird.
with the kid.
It's so weird.
If you're giving Amy vitamins now,
yes,
what do you think she's going to do when she's in the wild?
Oh, she just knows how to find those natural vitamins that she takes every day, those supplements. I mean,
well, are they giving her supplements because they didn't pack like they didn't have enough food to pack for her on the trip? They try to make it. This is where I put that. This is where they almost try to make it where Ross is a villain because everyone in the camp is like, what is she up to? Like, what is she up to?
Yes, because she's so quiet about everything, even though they all the company hired them to go on this expedition to save somebody and retrieve whatever like. Do they even know that part?
No, not yet.
Like, they could have least said it was a retrieval mission or something.
Yeah. Well, she calls Jodan Baker, and she tells them they're on their way. And he had the picture of, like, whatever attacked the camp analyzed. And I guess he's like, I got this this primatologist on it. It's something new. It's not a gorilla, but it's gorilla-like.
Yeah.
He asks them, like, are you sufficiently armed? And she's like, yeah, we'll be fine. And he's like, okay, well, the volcano's gonna blow, so get ready for that. And while they're talking, Amy runs by and knocks over the satellite thing and breaks it, so the thing goes out again. And Jodan Baker thinks that gorillas attacked the camp again, because he's like, God damn it, not again! And, like, freaks out. He's screaming through this whole movie. It's wonderful. Later that night, the full moon comes out, and Monroe, I don't think Monroe sleeps.
Oh, no, this is where I said, were-gorillas. Is that what this is? Are they were-gorillas?
What?
Well, because if they're saying that they're not gorillas, but they're gorilla-like, and then the full moon comes out and they make it very prominent.
God. Did you? Is that what you thought?
No, I was just making a joke. Like, that's
okay.
That was me joking, watching this movie, going, I bet it's were-gorillas, because I don't know where the hell this stupid movie's headed.
I guess it could have been. Why not? Hey, why not? But in reality, it's Clovis monkeys. Every monkey from here for 200 miles thinks he's Elvis Presley. Because I guess it's mating season, so they're, like, trying to do songs to attract a mate. This is bizarre. Because Ross and Peter were both woken up by the monkeys, and Peter starts howling at Karen. And I'm like,
wait,
what is going on? I guess to, like, tease her? Because it's, like, mating season? This is weird.
Well, I don't even think that's what it is. I honestly think he's wrong. I think it's that hive mind gorilla thing where they're all seeing the ancient gray monkeys.
But he says it's not gorillas.
Bullshit.
He says it's monkeys.
Bullshit. I think it's all of the gorillas and monkeys, and all of them have this weird vision when they sleep at night of the gray gorillas Because why else?
But
was
Amy's
Amy
okay.
having them? No, she was having those freaking dreams.
No, but I'm
when
saying
she
like
was
if the
in
rest of
in
the
States.
if the rest of the gorillas were having it, then wouldn't she be doing it too?
But she has been. That's my point. She has been. She has been having those dreams, and so are these gorillas and monkeys and like wilderness animals. Like I have a feeling it's one of those weird like connection things of the jungle animals, like all having this. This is why I think that the gray gorillas are an ancient protective species or like spirit of the jungle type thing, because
Spirit of the jungle.
I'm serious, because because of the way everything interacts with it. Like this guy's saying, oh, they're just mating season, but I think that's a red herring. I think he doesn't really know why they're acting like that. He's just assuming it's like a mating type of thing. And it's actually all of them having the nightmares about the gray gorillas and the temple and everything being like overrun because like there's all the war and everything, and it's probably hurting the jungle because of all like the bombs and all those things. I think that's what's happening, is that it's the ancient gray gorillas sending out a message to the animals of the jungle. I know it sounds weird and like stupid, but that's where I thought this was heading.
I don't know if I could have made this movie get more insane, but you certainly tried.
I think it would make more sense.
Between the two of you, I'm going to go with Monroe because I think he's more of the expert. Now, unless, Rachel, you are an expert on gorillas. I don't actually think he is. Are you an expert on gorillas?
He is an expert on gorillas? I don't think he is. He's a guns expert. He's not a gorilla
expert.
He's
a gun runner.
So, fair.
All right, folks at home, please weigh in on this one, because I would love to know if you espouse to Rachel's theory that the monkeys in Congo have like a hive mind where the ancient gray gorillas are connected.
Yeah.
So they're like sending signals.
It's like a warning signal because they're coming out to protect the jungle. And that's why it's like, and like probably because of the volcano and stuff, everything. There's so much happening right now in the jungle that they're like active and they're out and they're trying to protect everything and everyone. That's that's my theory. Look,
that's my theory. And signed. So we get a little bit of like a montage here. So there's like there's some rain. They move around in the rain. One of the tents gets caught in mud. One of the guys slices this snake on a branch. Another little moment where Amy's trying to get a frog to move off of the cooler because she wants to eat. Eventually she just lifts it and lets the frog fall off. Peter wakes up a little freaked out one day because there's a leech on his dick.
Yep.
And Monroe tells him to burn it off with his cigarette. And for some reason they make it seem like Ross is kind of charmed by this.
Does she seem charmed? She's like making fun of him.
Well, it's supposed to be like, again, like the group is bonding.
There's a leech on them. Like, it's not like that's dangerous.
Yeah, again, I do like when Monroe's like, it's not my leech,
like...
it's your leech, you get it off. There's the ghost tribe members are in the bushes.
Yeah.
And Monroe says, stay back. He tells them that he's in charge.
I was kind of hoping there would be more to this because of the way he's saying, like, okay, don't let them know you're there. You know, like they're just.
And then they immediately like walk out of the bushes and are like, "Who's in charge?"
And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I thought it was going to be something that follows them because they're trying to tell them not to go to the.
They're
mines.
trying to make sure that they're not going the right direction, like their direction towards the temple. Like I thought they were kind of like another piece of that whole puzzle.
Yeah, don't go to the temple because the gorillas are there, they'll kill you.
Yes!
Yeah.
No.
But apparently this ghost tribe, nothing to do with the King Solomon's mine. They tell them, they first laugh because they're like, Monroe, you can't be in charge, you're a black guy.
Right. It's just like, aw, that's kind of sad. Because he is the guy in charge.
And he's the best character in the movie, hands down.
Yes, he is!
The tribe tells them that there's a dead white guy with symbols on his clothes, and it's the TC, I can't remember the name of the company, but it's like Tridacorp or something like that, is the company that Ross works for. This ghost tribe is the Mazumbo or something close to that. And he's trying to tell Ross that they have several levels of being dead. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he is dead. So the tribe takes them to this area. They're doing some sort of ritual to try to get this guy's soul back into his body before he dies. Because if he dies before the soul gets back into his body, the soul will be trapped on Earth forever. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So they're doing
Fair
this
enough.
like ritual. They take Ross to the man, and she's like, "Oh, this isn't this is some other guy. I don't care about this guy. This isn't Charlie, my ex-fiance."
Like, oh, you're just some other person that works for my company. Like, I don't care about you. Like, you're supposed to be caring about the entire troop of people.
She is trying to figure out like what happened.
Sure.
Because I think
she only cares about one person.
She thought that they were all dead, but she couldn't see Charlie on the camera, and she only cares about one person. That's fair enough. You know, think about your coworkers at home, folks. Would you save them all from aggressive ancient gray gorillas?
I mean, part of it is like that she didn't even know this guy was alive. She should be like, "Oh my god, I didn't even think you'd be alive." No, she's just like,
"Yeah, that's true.
Not him.
That's true.
I don't care if you die."
You're right.
Like,
you're kind of right.
Like, what? You should care because this guy might know more information.
Well, she's trying to get a little bit more information out of him, but he's like catatonic. Yeah. Amy is playing with the tribe's kids.
Yeah, they're like following her around.
Yeah, and like laughing like, "Look, it's a gorilla." And because that's apparently what you can do with gorillas. And then the guy sees Amy, and he freaks out, and he like wakes up and screams, and then he dies. So I guess he has like a heart attack, or she scares him to death. And this is where Ross finally admits to them why she's there, which is to, save Charlie, and that the camp was trashed by what looked like some gray gorilla. And Monroe was like, "It couldn't have been trashed. Where you're having us go is uninhabited. Like, there's nothing but, like, there's nothing there. It's just jungle."
Yeah.
They dope up Amy again, because to get there, they have to go on rafts. Peter does the chin thing.
Yeah, they go whitewater rafting, yeah.
They basically go whitewater rafting in the middle of this movie.
Yes.
Because, again, it's just hit the next piece, next thing.
Yes.
So they go whitewater rafting. They start singing California Dreaming, because, like, Peter's trying to, like, calm them down. Well, because the rest of the crew is, like...
I know, but it felt so jarring. That was another jarring thing for me, was that he's singing her the California Dreaming song to her to help her fall asleep, right? And then the entire place just starts singing it. I'm like, are we going to have a dance number? Like, what's going on?
I thought the song was going to start playing non-diegetically
the only thing that makes
the
sense.
Movie.
It's the only thing that would make sense is them starting to sing something, and then it transitions into that, and then another montage, because the entire middle of this movie is just montages.
It's just a bunch of montages, because they go on the rafts. It becomes whitewater rafting. Again, I think it's just supposed to be this great adventure serial style of movie. It just goes too quick. There's not a lot of establishing of this. They're on the boat. They talk about Zenj again, and this time Monroe says that no one's ever found it. Hermoka says that this time he has a trump card because Amy knows where it is. Because Hermoka found a book when he was in Georgia that had a picture drawn in it of this eye, and he found the ring on a safari, and it's the same eye, and Amy painted the same eye, so she knows where this is.
Right. Which I'm telling you, I'm just trying to say that this leads into my theory way more. It leans into it. Why would she know where it is when she's been living in the United States?
She knows where it is because she was born there. That's his point.
She was born in the temple?
She was born near the temple because she was born near the mountain, the valley. She's from the valley.
But it just seems so... Like, why would she just start dreaming about it now?
Because she's homesick? I don't know.
But she's not. She's homesick now that she's in the jungle.
No, I think, I don't know. I get that's what they're trying to tell us. They're trying to say that
I guess that she knows where it is because she used to live there and all that, yada, yada. It just doesn't feel like it matches. She seems way more of I was a baby when I came to the United States, and I was I was born in captivity. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
She was not born in captivity.
I know that, but she was like a baby when she was born.
It feels like they took her. Yes. The signal on Ross's GPS stops. She doesn't know what it means. I do love that they have to explain what GPS is, because 1995. I guess it would have stopped. It probably... So she's... I think what they're trying to say is it stopped because the campsite's signal went down, like where they left the equipment.
Oh, you think it's that?
Because I was thinking like, well, yeah, you're in the middle of the jungle. But I think the point is supposed to be
satellite that is like the best thing in the world. Okay, go ahead.
No, because she's been tracking where the campsite is via the GPS. But because she lost the signal, I think it's because something happened. She thinks something happened to the camp, or it's because they're just out in the middle of nowhere and she can't get a signal.
See, I started going with it's because they're getting closer to the temple. The closer to the temple they're getting, the less signal they're going to have. But at the same time, we had the guys right there, too, and they had a good signal. But, I mean, they had to go into that tunnel, so I don't know. But in my head, I was going, the signal's going to start getting, like, fuzzy because they're getting closer to the temple.
I like that you're putting, like,
the temple's supposed to be,
mystical
like,
element to it.
I am. I think that's my problem, is that in my head I had this mystical, like, the gorillas are mystical, like, ancient beings, and, like, the temple's more mystical and all of that, so that's my own problem.
It's my own problem. I'll deal with it. They're still rafting at night. They raft a lot in this, and this is where the hippos come along. And as we've discussed, hippos can really fuck you up. There's some tension here. There is some tension. I think it could be done better. When I watched the behind-the-scenes stuff, I was like, oh my god, they built an entire hippo. So they did this scene at the Paramount pool, and they built an entire animatronic hippo that wiggles its ears, and opens its jaw, and can jump at them.
Oh my god, I love that.
It looked awesome, and you barely fucking see it, because it's dark, and... Right, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This thing looked so sweet, like watching the behind the scenes thing, and I'm like, oh man, all that work, and you don't get a good look at it.
You get like some shots, like quick shots, fast shots of
and maybe it didn't look right on camera
and stuff.
Like maybe it didn't look good enough to look realistic on camera, so they wanted to cloak it in dark. And it makes sense, because hippos are aggressive and they will murder you without a second's thought.
Yes.
They will especially murder you at night. They're nocturnal hunters. So it makes
hippos
sense
are crazy.
They are fucking insane. So it like makes sense that they get attacked at night by these hippos. These things they clamp onto the rafts and they try to attack. I wanted this to have more consequence, because basically what happens is they get attacked for a minute. Monroe like tranks one or something. And then they set off a flare, and they're like, let's get to shore. And they get to shore. There's one guy injured.
Yeah.
But that's it.
I wanted them to, like, tip the raft, and they're swimming, and they're
or they
trying
lose
to, like,
some. They lose some
supplies. They lose a bunch of their stuff. Yeah. Yes.
But it just feels like it's another, like, oh, like, this would be in an African picture. Like, we have to put the attack, like, something attacks them.
Attack of the hippo.
Yeah.
But then it's, that just happened, and we're okay.
And it's quick.
I think I need more, I need more consequences. I need more, like, there should be less of them now. It should be, like, this big group that starts dwindling as they get closer to the volcano.
Yeah, that would make more sense. I mean, Monroe does say 2 people left. Like, they abandoned it because they thought it was getting too dangerous.
Sure, and
you'd have rather had the hippo
ate
one of them or murdered one of them.
Killed a couple of them. Some of them drowned because like one of the boats, like they had like a bunch of boats, and like one of the boats got knocked, and
got tipped
that's the one that it was
over.
attacking.
Yeah,
and the other one got tipped, but they were able to swim to shore. And the other boat is the rest of the supplies that they have, so now they have less. Like that's where I would have gone with it. Just to give it more
some
tension,
stakes.
give it more something. Yeah, give me some more stakes.
They see in the air a plane got shot falling down, and that comes into play later. Mm-hmm. They start heading up the mountain that we saw at the beginning. That was Bruce Campbell, and it's headed toward the volcano. Amy's getting excited as they get closer, according to Peter. And she is. She's like, look, we gotta go this way, gotta go this way. They make camp on the mountain. And I think this is where I saw maybe what they were trying to do with Ross, or what they could have done with Ross, because Peter and Amy are like enjoying the scenery. They're like enjoying the sunset or the sunrise or something. Mm-hmm. She's just like looking out, and they're like talking. and Ross is in her tent, and she's like looking at them with like a smile. And I thought, oh, was she supposed to be a heel who gains sympathy and respect for Amy and Peter, turns face by the end? But that's just not what happens.
But it's not like she's like, I'll just kill him at the end of this because they can't know anything.
No, but I'm saying,
not
like...
even like that. It's just weird that she would turn face for any reason. Because she's just working for this evil company, and we don't even know what they want to do.
But she's there for altruistic reasons of saving her ex-fiancé. She doesn't care about getting the diamonds.
No.
At this point. And I think that's part of the problem.
No, yes, it is.
Because she did care about getting the diamonds if nothing would have happened to Charlie, but because something had happened to Charlie, she's like, we gotta save Charlie. Joe Don Baker is, we gotta get those diamonds.
Right. So we have 4 different things happening. There's 3 people after the diamonds. One doesn't really care about them much because she wants the person. Then we have the other one who wants the diamonds for himself because, money, treasure. And then we have the other one who wants the diamonds for his telemarketing company. I don't really understand that
I own a small telemarketing company down in Houston. We use diamonds.
And then we have Amy being taken back to the jungle, and they're along for the ride.
But adventure movies can have all of those characters have different goals, like a Pirates or an Indiana Jones. I like when they do that. It's just that I feel like the character motivations and the arcs don't fully manifest in a successful way.
Right. I don't. Can somebody explain to me? Somebody explain to me. Maybe I completely missed this. Somebody explain this company.
Well, you can use lasers for communication satellites.
Not the kind of lasers this guy was using. This was like a freaking blow it up laser. That's different.
Of course not. Of course not. But in 1995, who's to say?
I don't know. Same lasers, right?
They need to figure out which way to go. And for some reason, Amy wants the glove. I guess so that she can talk to people.
I think it's just easier because it's just like, you're not listening.
Yeah. So she asks for the glove, and she's telling Peter they have to figure out whether to go right or left. And if they go the wrong way, it's going to cost them a few days. And Amy's like, Amy, left. We go that way. And Hermoka's like, we got to follow the gorilla. They decide to follow her.
And then she just goes, tickle, Amy, tickle.
So they go left, and it gets like spooky foggy. And the I wrote coward scientist is a coward. Because he's like,
do you think it's spooky foggy because of like a volcano?
I think it's because of the volcano. Okay. I think it's like actual fog because of the volcano.
Yeah.
They get to, what did you think? Did you think that the...
I just didn't know if it was like the mists of the jungle or if it was just like...
Well, I think it is the
mist
of the... Like, gorillas in the mist is the...
Oh, yeah. All right, fine.
They get to the valley and they see the plane crash from earlier. It's the plane from Joe Don Baker because he thought that it happened again. And Monroe's like, don't go in there, Ross, because if it's anybody that you know, like, they're all dead. You don't need to see them.
Bunch of dead bodies. Mm-hmm.
So we can keep moving. They stumble into a silverback at this point, and this is where they illustrate what you should do if a gorilla ever approaches you, for those of you at home that ever get approached by a gorilla. What?
Well, no, they do. They say don't run because he'll run after you.
He'll run after you. But
this guy looks him straight in the eye.
I would advise not doing that either.
I'm like, what are you doing? This gorilla should have slapped him in the face. Like,
ever look at me right in the eyes. Yeah, don't smile at apes. And don't look at them in the eyes, because smiling for apes is a form of aggression too.
Again, you're showing your teeth. That's aggression.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Especially
to
chimps.
Meaner.
Chimps do not like it when you smile at them.
Whenever they put like their teeth, I'm trying to show it, and you guys can't see me, but like whenever they put their lips like as far back and they're showing their gums, they're trying to be aggressive.
Yeah. So back off if they're doing that.
Yes.
I
do like this though. Where
he runs up and he starts throwing stuff around. These are animatronic gorillas too, by the way. And I think they look pretty good.
I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah. He's throwing stuff around just to show who's boss. And then he just leaves because that's what gorillas do. And I do like this part because Monroe tells him, like, don't run away. And then when the silverback moves away, he turns around and they all hid.
And he's just like, where did you go? He goes, I ran.
He goes, I ran away.
Oh my god. I like that. And then I like this part.
Is this where Amy tries to say hi?
Yes.
Yeah. So Amy's trying to say, like, hi.
Like, stop for a second, and they're staring at her. And then she just is like, hi, Amy, good gorilla. And it's like, what?
She's like, hi, I'm Amy.
And they're just like, what the hell what are you doing?
Yeah,
and they're like, whatever. And they leave.
Yeah, they're just like, fucking,
which is what I expect to happen, because she's like a weirdo now to them.
Yeah, now she's that weird girl. That weird girl. You're really gonna let this weird girl into our troop? She was doing all those weird things with her hands.
I don't know what she's doing.
She had this little girl voice.
She's not grunting. She's just like...
Hi, I'm Amy. Amy, good gorilla. Also good gorilla? Yeah, but they leave because they're like, this is stupid. So they just leave. She gets... I was a little sad. I actually got a little sad for this puppet.
I was a little sad for her.
Because she gets really dejected because she's just like, they didn't accept me. And Ross is like, yeah, I guess she doesn't really...
I guess you should have offered them a martini. Like...
Ross is like, I guess she doesn't really belong anywhere. And Peter's like, no, she belongs here. Like, we'll get there. But Ross is kind of right. Karen Ross is kind of right here. She doesn't really belong anywhere because you've fed her martinis.
You've domesticated her.
Taco Bell.
You can't do that. And let her smoke. You can't do that.
They breach a perimeter.
A bunch of nicotine-addicted gorillas running around now.
Sounds fantastic. Maybe that's what happened to the Greys. Maybe that's why they have the fucked up teeth and the bad fur and stuff. They're just
scientists.
They're just nicotine They're not ancient. They're just drug addicts.
No.
This is what happens, kids, when you take drugs. They breach a perimeter and they find the camp. The bodies are gone, the equipment's all gone, and Laura Linney's like, what happened? Like, there was a ton of stuff here.
Right.
And Amy signals that they have to keep going, like, no, we gotta keep going. This isn't where I want us to stop. They find a potential dead end, but it's the passage to the other side of the city. And now we have finally gotten to this Legends of the Hidden Temple set.
Yes.
Olmec is here. There are the little monkey statue that was only 3 pieces, but none of the kids could ever figure out how to put it together is here.
Oh my god, I always wanted to be on that show. I always
Because you could have put that monkey statue together. It was literally 3 pieces.
It was so not difficult.
They find the city of Zinj, and Hermoka is, like, in tears, because he's like, we finally found it. I've waited my whole life.
It's real.
And they approach it to enter, and you can see it's this, like, big city. Like, it was truly like a city. Peter's like, well, what happened to the city? It's like, Dad. Monroe's like, maybe the mines dried up. And Hermoka's like, no, it can't have been. Like, he freaks out, because he, like, does not want to believe that that's possible either.
I just would find it weird that they're using those diamonds as, like, a currency, and that's why... Or are you thinking that they left?
No,
they dried up and they left? It just doesn't feel like something that they would have cared as much about.
About diamonds? Yeah, they would have been a form of currency back then. Like, humans have always used precious gems as a form of currency.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
again,
gold and silver.
Zirconia. It's fake. It's all fake.
It's all fake.
It's just shiny rocks. Okay, that's all it is.
They were actually protecting something else, and the cubic zirconias were just to distract people from not being able to take the other thing.
Exactly.
I think I did hear or read somewhere that cubic zirconias would actually power whatever Joe Don Baker is trying to do better than an actual diamond.
Well, because apparently this like blue diamond
whatever that was
goo causes a
diamond goo.
A laser that creates fire and explosions, but like, you know, the actual diamond, maybe it does something different with the light. It fractures it the different way. I don't know. The cubic zirconia could do it a different way. I don't know.
He only wants one diamond, too. He's just looking for one diamond.
Yeah, so maybe he is just
because I think they're gonna like
do
synthesize
something with the
it
light
or something. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna synthesize it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I guess it needs to be this specific diamond. I don't know. To your point, they need a specific diamond that's in a city that has never been found.
It's a myth. Yes.
Yeah,
At that
you're right.
point,
Their plot,
synthesize your own diamond.
the plot doesn't make a lot of sense. Laura Linney wants to go in, and Monroe's like, "Don't be so cavalier about it." Like, and she's like, "Just give me a gun and a flashlight." And he's like, "All right, fine, I'll let you do it." And they're all like, "Well, maybe we should go in too." And coward scientist Richard is like, "No, I'm gonna stay out here with Amy." And Monroe has a couple of others stay out with him too. There are hieroglyphics everywhere once you get inside. Hermoka's like, it's the same thing over and over and over. Amy wanders off, and Richard tries to find her after like having this weird interaction with one of the guys on the crew about like how he's got a weird name because his name is Clyde. And he's like, that's a weird name. And he's like, what do you know about it? You've never been there. Like, how do you know it's a weird name? He tries to find her. There's the fallen statue. She sees the fallen statue again, and it spooks her. And then Richard gets attacked by the gorillas. And he comes running into this like area that the group is in, and he's been attacked and he just falls over dead. Peter doesn't care about this in the slightest.
Yeah, like, what is this?
And then a gorilla shows up
weird.
and throws one of the other guys' heads at them.
Yes!
Basically, I think to warn them, like, we can kill all of you.
Please leave.
Just leave,
like, if you leave,
and we won't kill all of you.
But right now we're taking you one by one. Let's go.
I hate this scene, though. Because the camera...
Why? Why do they do this?
It's awful. The camera goes into this, like, super slow-mo shaky cam thing, and you can't see what the fuck
like
is
fast,
going
but
on.
Slow, and
Yeah.
it's like...
And I don't know if
they
it's
slow down fast motion, and...
Is it supposed to demonstrate how fast the gorilla is? Like, it's awful.
I think it's supposed to be that, but I think it's also supposed to make you feel like you're there. So it's like if you were there, and it's like you're being jarred around, and...
And I wondered if they thought the suit didn't look good enough to get
Do you really think it's that?
So here's what I'll say about all these gray gorillas. Because I was reading this part. They made all of these gray gorilla suits distinctive. Stan Winston and his team did. Because they wanted them all to have like a different personality to like stand out. And the lighting that was needed on the set was not conducive to the suits. So they were like, you can't tell. And they had to hide a lot of the suits, the fur and stuff because of that. This is where, if that's the case, you try CGI.
Yeah,
don't do a
CGI.
full. Now they said they couldn't do full CGI. They were going to do full CGI on the gorillas, and they said that it wasn't. You weren't able to do full CGI at that point with fur, and you still can't. Like CGI hair is awful.
Oh my god! Oh my god! People put so much work into hair.
Don't do full CGI. Just do certain shots of it to get a sense of the gorilla's speed or something with CGI.
Yes.
If that's what you want to do. But I think it's because they said like the lighting just didn't work right on the set because it had tall ceilings
really
or low ceilings or something, or I don't remember. But yeah, that's why you don't get enough of these gray gorillas, I guess. That's why they never found the city, because the killer apes protect the city. So if anybody ever finds the city, the apes kill them. Before.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Which makes this interesting, because I guess they stick around because they're still trying to find Charlie, because they set up camp just outside the city, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of there.
Right.
You know that there are these gorillas. And they set up a perimeter, because they have all this firepower. They have turret guns, and they have these electric fences. I love that Peter's like, maybe I should turn your volume down. So he like turns the volume down on Amy's voice box. And
oh my gosh.
I feel like Amy took the death of Richard way more than Peter. Like, I think that
Peter
she thinks...
he acts like, whatever.
I think Amy blames herself a little bit for it.
I would
Because
think
she's like,
so.
those bad gorillas killed Richard. The gorillas start testing their defenses
Yes.
And the lighting is nice in this scene. There's like some nice blues and purples and stuff to kind of give it a little bit of an atmosphere. But there's kind of like this dumb like shootout. They're just shooting into the darkness in this scene. It doesn't feel tense enough. It should feel like at any point these gorillas can attack them. And it's like they
should be up in the trees and stuff. They never use like
gorillas don't climb trees too much though.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
I thought they're like mountainous. I thought they just kind of stick to the ground.
Am I wrong? I thought they had nests in trees.
They can climb trees, but they're usually found in the ground.
Okay. But see, these gorillas, considering they're like laying an attack on these people, would go in the trees.
Yep.
So I feel like they should be utilizing a bit of more like vertical stuff.
They climb trees. They climb trees to grab fruit. And then the young ones will go up there to play. So there you go. Yeah, you're right. But this whole scene just seems like kind of a waste because they're just shooting at the darkness and it's
yeah, I attack the darkness. That's what they're doing right now.
It doesn't come off as well as I think it might supposed to. So the next morning, because they just kind of sleep through this.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things where something happens, but there's not really the consequences.
No, let's move on to the next thing. Because the scene ends. The scene ends
like
with.
You'd think it would be they're getting attacked. It's at night. People are like actually dying from the gorillas getting through the
have one
machineries.
guy swipe around and like grab a guy or something.
Yes!
I don't know.
And then they have to retreat back in like closer to the temple or something. So now they're in a more of a danger zone.
The gorillas are trying to pin them in. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's make it a little bit scarier, but they finally find like a spot where they feel a little safer so they can hide till morning. Give me something.
And I'm not saying that in reality the gorillas would have tried to pin them in or test the defenses, but the whole point of this is that these are like hyper aggressive, hyper smart gorillas, so they should be doing that.
That's the thing, is that's what these gorillas do, so like you'd expect this.
Hermoka comes out of his tent and is like, I deciphered the hieroglyphics and it says, "We are watching you," over and over again. That doesn't really matter.
What does that mean?
Well, they eventually say like,
that mean?
"Oh, it was the masters were saying that to the gorillas," and it's like, what the
But
fuck?
What does that mean?
I feel like that's something
the gorillas saying it.
I feel like that's got to be something that mattered in the book, and they didn't translate it right for the movie.
This again though, this is going into my theory. If it's we are watching you and it's actually the gorillas talking to the humans and the humans are figuring out what like the gorillas are saying or like meaning, I think again it's them saying you're doing too much to nature. We are the protectors of this. You cannot do this. We are watching.
I will
That's
half,
what I'm saying.
I will half buy into that in the idea that it's supposed to be a message from the gorillas to people intruding and not the masters to the gorillas. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But I like the idea of we are watching you, like the gorillas are watching the people coming in. I don't think that the gorillas wrote the hieroglyphics. I think that the people that built the mine did. But it's supposed to be a warning that you're being watched.
I think it's them communicating. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it, like, and you know what? It ties into that theme of them wanting to be able to communicate with something that doesn't speak, right? The gorillas. Well, these gorillas are giving you a message.
Because communication is a theme. Yeah.
Or at least it feels like it wants to be a theme.
The next day, because we just go to the next morning, Amy's gone. Her mocha ran off, which I thought was weird because you know that these gorillas are around. And then two of the porters are missing. Monroe has to tell Peter, like, we're going to find Amy, but I need you to say and agree that people come first and then gorillas. I don't agree with.
I would have been like, no. Because Amy is part human at this point because of the way she acts. I'm sorry, but Amy's like the diamond for him because...
That's true. Amy is giving it another shot to getting good with this mountain troop. She found them again and she's trying to communicate with them. They're kind of just eyeballing her like, oh man, it's that weirdo with the stupid signs again. And then Ross gives Peter a gun. And they figure out the story. So there's like more hieroglyphics. This is what the story is in the movie. And then I will tell you what I think the story is in the books based on the little bit of reading that I did. I didn't read the book, but I looked at like what the synopsis of the book was. So they figure out that they domesticated the gorillas. They taught them to be aggressive, and they bred them to become guard dogs, essentially. And then what they decipher, based on nothing, is that they turned on their masters, and that the gorillas killed all of the guards at King Solomon's mine, and that's why it became a lost city.
Mm-hmm.
And then they even imply that the gray gorillas were killing mountain gorillas that get too close. Because there's like skulls and bones of real gorillas in this area.
Interesting.
So what they're trying to say is they just bred these gorillas to become ancient, and I think that they're like incestuous at this point, so they've got like bad genes, they're way too aggressive, and that's why they look like shit, and that's why they're all gray, because they all have this recessive albino gene as well. So I think that's the idea in the movie. In the book, it's a little... I don't understand how this could be, but apparently it's supposed to be like King Solomon's guards. I don't think that they were sleeping with the gorillas, but they were splicing human DNA into gorilla DNA.
Where gorillas?
Make gorillas smarter, and then they were using the more aggressive gorillas to breed with the DNA inside them. That sounds absolutely insane. It sounds very Michael Crichton-y. So I think the movie explanation works better, but I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
I don't know if I like either of them. I like mine better. But I understand. It makes sense as to why he's saying like scientists are destroying the world because the scientists of this temple was splicing genes. They were also breeding the animals and they were messing with nature.
But like you say, you don't like those two. None of them work. None of them work. No. None of them are a good enough threat.
I prefer the ancient gorillas that are protecting nature. I think that makes the most sense.
But they shouldn't just be in the
killing
city,
the other gorillas. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
No. But that means that there's like the heart of the jungles in the city. That like there's some like bullshit like that. You know what I mean? There's some type of mystical thing that's being protected. That yes, the diamonds are the red herring, and they're protecting the heart of the jungle, which is nature and all of that kind of stuff. And this volcano is erupting, and like the war is going on,
and the volcano going off,
are coming in.
So
and
Amy starts to make
a lot happening.
Amy's making a little bit of headway because when we cut back to Amy, she's with the troop. She's like interacting with them. They let her come by them, and she's making headway. But then the volcano starts going off, and she's like, "Oh, guys, sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go see what that's about because I know my people are in there." The group, in the meantime, because the volcano's going off, which to your point feels like it should be connected to the gorillas, but it's not. It's just that this volcano starts going off.
But like this thing too, like the volcano going off, all these animals would be like, "Nope, we're getting out of
here." Yeah. And I guess maybe that's why the gray gorillas stick around, because this is an active volcano.
Yes.
So the gray gorillas should be used to like, oh, this volcano goes off once in a while, we have to retreat, and they don't because the people are there, so they feel like they still have to
protect.
I guess.
I guess.
That's kind of bad
apart.
too.
It's falling apart.
Yeah, this really falls apart. The sad part is this is what you're waiting for the entire movie, and then it falls apart.
Well, this is I was waiting for, and I was also waiting for Charlie to come back because of the actor. Oh. I kept thinking that
what was he like? He was trapped in a cage.
Yeah, well, I thought he was probably injured and maybe he was able to crawl away or something. But for some reason, I kept going, oh no, this actor, if he's in this movie, there's no way he's just gonna be dead.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why they.
I kept thinking,
cast
there's
him.
Gotta be more. There's gotta be more.
So they get trapped in the mines. They keep moving, and they end up in the real Legends of the Hidden Temple set. There's smoke coming out of the ground because of the volcano. There's a bunch of holes with gorillas in it, and it's like, oh, this is the mines. There's just a bunch of diamonds laying around on the ground because I guess there are just so many diamonds. There's these huge diamonds. The gorillas start grumbling about it, there doesn't seem to be another way out. And Hermoka, I get it. I get that you want these diamonds. But there are these apes that you know are going to try to kill you.
Yeah. Right.
And you know that they're there to stop you from getting the diamonds, and you're still picking them up. And, like, what do you think? And that's where, like, are the gorillas a threat or are they not? Because
they're either in here.
Yeah, they're surrounding you, and they're either a threat, and you'd be like, I gotta find a way to sneakily get these diamonds out.
Right.
Is how he should be doing it. Like Benny in The Mummy. He should be trying to sneak the treasure
out.
I'm
just gonna grab as many as he can.
That's what he should have been. That's what he should have been doing when they're like, Hermoka ran off. When he disappeared, he should have been trying to sneakily get the diamonds out.
Yes.
And that's when the gorillas should have attacked the camp or something, because then they should have been like, why are they attacking the camp? And it's like, oh, he took the diamonds.
He has the diamonds.
Instead, it's just like, oh, we got the guns, we'll take them. Like, who fucking cares? And it's like, well, then you've neutered the threat of the movie.
Exactly.
So the gorillas surround Hermoka because the gang is all going one way. They don't look good in this scene. They don't.
No.
And he drops the diamonds because he's like, okay, look, I'll drop the diamonds. And they attack him unconvincingly to me. And then the gang starts opening fire, and they just start murking these apes. And there's squibs, and there's this blood flying out.
Yeah.
I guess you're allowed to do it because these things are monsters. So you can just show them getting just murdered violently. It is hilariously violent, and they look so weird. The tone doesn't fit with the rest of this at all.
I don't like that the scientist guy starts shooting them. I feel like he won it.
Well, they're monsters.
That bothered me too. But it bothers me that he picks up a gun and starts shooting them. Like, if anything, he's just aiming at them until they come after him, and then, like, if they got that close, then maybe he'll shoot it. But I feel like he's not the type that he would just start shooting a fucking gun at things.
Right. Yeah. I can't really dispute that.
If he likes
other than saying that they're monsters, which...
Right. Which, you're saying they're monsters, which makes it a monster movie.
But
which makes them the ancient gorillas that are protecting the jungle.
But they are supposed to be monsters. They're mutated.
No, I know. I'm just being an ass.
So
it's like it's just one of those things where it's like you don't want to believe it, but you're like, they're monsters. They're like they're these weird creatures. I'm like, yes, they are, Kevin. This is my theory.
Going to this again.
Every time.
They're trying to find a way out. It turns out there's a giant diamond that was like refracting light, so they thought it was a way out, but it really wasn't. Monroe watches his friend get surrounded by gorillas, and they all pound him to death. Laura Linney and Peter go to the treasure room, I guess?
Well, would you call it the treasure room, or is it like the...
It's where they drag the bodies that they find, yeah.
Because it's like... I mean, they're cleaning up after themselves again. They're cleaning up after themselves.
Because they don't want people to find
the bodies.
Because they don't want people to find the city, so they have to get rid of the evidence.
Oh, I thought this was weird. So yeah, they're in the room with a bunch of like skeletons, where they drag the bodies. So we do see Charlie, and Charlie is dead, and he's just kind of laying there. Now the thing is that they zoom in on his hand and what he's holding. Right. And I found that kind of odd, because it was like, oh, okay, she's going to grab whatever's in his hand and take it with her.
She does.
Or maybe she doesn't.
Yeah, she does.
And take it?
She does. She goes back and picks it up, and that's what she uses to make the gun laser.
When do they show that? Because they just show them running away.
So they come back out. They come back out of that room, and they're like, there's no way out. And she says, because the volcano starts to blow, and it's destroying the set, and they're stuck. Ross says, give me a couple minutes. And she takes the diamond and makes the gun out of the diamond. Because while she's doing this... I didn't know it was
the one that was in his hand. Yeah. I thought she'd use something else.
No, she uses the one that's in his hand. I don't know where he got that diamond, because he didn't have a diamond.
Because it looks so different than the other ones.
Well, it's covered in ash. But like, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a reference to Ash, Evil Dead. But he didn't have the diamond. So he get beaten up by the gorillas and grab a diamond while he was getting killed and dragged into this room? Or what? Yeah. While this is happening, Peter gets surrounded by gorillas because they, like, pull him down into the pit. And before they can kill him, this is very stupid. It's very stupid.
Okay, well, this is kind of what... this was one of the things that myself and the other person I was watching this with, we both kind of went, Amy's going to save the day, right? Because, like, it's Amy.
Well, she
That's
has
the only
to save the
reason
day.
Amy's in the movie.
She's the T-Rex. She has to be the hero, yeah. So Amy shows up with the glove on because she went and grabbed the glove on her way here. And she scares off the other gorillas via sign language talking. And they won't attack her or Peter now, and they just back off. And I was like, what the fuck?
Ugly gorillas. Ugly. Go away.
I don't know what to make of it.
This is stupid. Like, why are they intimidated by Amy? And the only
it doesn't make
explanation,
any sense.
the only explanation you get from Monroe is they don't know what to make of it.
Oh, so they're just confused.
I have a way to make this better.
Okay, please enlighten me.
Okay, the way that the masters, the Solomon's guards, taught the gorillas how to be guards was via sign language. So now, when Amy comes in and does the sign language and is talking, they recognize her as a master and they back off.
Interesting.
Now, that's not in the movie, but it would have made it better.
That would have made more sense. That they kind of like, if anything, they're kind of like, wait, are you a master? Should I be afraid of you? Are you telling me a command?
All you get here is Amy surrounds Peter and is like, Amy, mother, you can't attack him. He's one of mine. And it's like, why would they care?
Gorillas. If these gorillas, are killing other gorillas or killing humans, like, they're not going to care what she says.
No. So it's very
They'll just
stupid.
kill her and them. Like,
it's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. So this happens, and then Karen Ross finally gets the gun laser to work.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing with that? Monroe asks. And she goes,
What am I doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing. We're getting out of here.
We are. What about them?
Put him on the endangered species list.
and Ross starts frying the fucking apes with a laser.
Yep.
Jesus. And you see it, like she's lasering.
Laser.
She's lasering them in half. Yeah.
Lasering them in half. What does this company want with this laser?
Well, I
they're
guess
evil. They're a supervillain because
and that
come
kind
on.
of that kind of laser is not the kind of laser that you would use, like we said. Like it's
the
so
laser
insane.
you would use, you don't even see it. It's invisible. Like
it's so hilarious, and it's just like what am I watching? Like what is this at this point?
Yeah.
It's just so bizarre.
Well, because now the volcano starts to erupt too at
Right.
the same time.
Of course, because of course it's at the same time. So they find a way to get out.
It's all coming to a head.
The same way that Amy came in, they used to get out. And some lava is coming in, and the lava starts frying up the rest of the gorillas. So you get to see like these
they're,
gorillas
like,
just
into
get
it.
totally killed. The other gorillas that don't get burned up either start getting thrown off of the ledge or they commit suicide by jumping into the lava anyway.
Yep. It's weird.
And I'm just thinking, like, doesn't this happen, though? This is an active volcano. So they don't have contingency for it?
I don't know if that just, like, happens all the time. I don't think it just happens all the time that lava
But this
exudes
is like
from a
so
volcano.
But does this mean like this is the first time in like 1,000 years that this has happened?
I wouldn't say 1,000, but I don't think it's gonna be like, every couple years, the
No,
volcano.
I'm not saying that either.
Like,
but even if it's every 100 years, like these gorillas have.
I don't think the gorillas have a contingency plan. I don't think that's a thing. But I do think they would know when a volcano is going to erupt, and they wouldn't be here.
That's what I'm saying.
That's just a natural
I don't think
thing.
they would have been there.
Unless
They'd come back after
their
it was
inbred
over.
genes just don't know what's going on.
So the gorillas are dead. Hermoka is dead. We are down to our three heroes and Amy, and they are running through the jungle trying to get away from the volcano. Some of these shots don't look awful. I watched how they put these together. They actually put models together and they put composite shots, so they made fake lava. And they've had fake lava go down like blue screen composites, and then they put the the fake lava on top of the shot and put it together, so it's not CGI. It's actually like a real paste of lava thing. Better than using just CGI, because otherwise it would have been a sci-fi movie, like the channel sci-fi, not the genre.
No, I know what you meant. Yeah.
And then
no,
Peter.
no, we're going into space now to use their laser on the satellites. We're taking Amy with us.
If the sci-fi
astronaut, Amy, space.
If the sci-fi movie did a sequel to Congo, I would not be surprised. So Peter makes this miraculous leap, and like I thought Amy was gonna pull him to safety. I thought Amy was gonna like pull him up because she's a gorilla and can do that. He doesn't, or she doesn't. He just climbs up, and then there are earthquakes. There's lava. Amy holds on to this vine because they start like rolling down a hill that's like created because of the earthquake. Amy is able to grab a vine because again she's a gorilla. She has gorilla strength.
Yes.
Like gorilla glue. And Peter grabs onto Amy, so they're like hanging onto it. And Ross lasers a tree for them to walk across, makes a footbridge for them.
Right, they made a bridge.
They are able to do that. They just walk across as this whole thing goes up. And eventually they escape this area. They should be exhausted, because they just ran away from a volcano.
Oh my god, they'd be sweating, they'd be just like
I feel
dirty,
like
there'd be
like,
soot everywhere, they'd be coughing.
How much time passed?
Happening.
Because it feels like they ran like a half a mile, and it's like, wouldn't you have to run miles away from this thing to not be affected?
I would assume.
They go back to the plane crash site. Somehow Amy and Peter got separated a bit, but there's this hot air balloon that Ross tells Monroe about. Why did they have a spare hot air balloon? I guess for a way to get out in case the plane got
It's such a
compromised.
Weird thing. You know what? Make sure we have an extra hot air balloon. Because if we can't use the plane, hot air balloon is the best way to get out of here. Just like in The Mummy.
Yeah, why not?
Actually, that's a
Mummy took it.
dirigible.
I do think that this is part of that serial thing, though, because hot air balloons were probably a big thing in like that genre.
Dirigibles, hot air balloons.
Yeah, whatever.
All
it was
of
a
those
dirigible.
Weird things.
Yeah. So
It just so far fetched. Like, oh yeah, let's just use it.
So there's this like new satellite hookup thing that came along with that plane.
Mm-hmm.
So she hooks up the satellite again. She calls Joe Don back. And he's yelling about the diamonds. He's like, "Did you get the diamond? Did you get the diamond?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got the diamond, but your son's dead." And he's like, "Well, whatever." So she decides
it's such a weird dynamic, and I think it's only because she sees this dude as her potential father-in-law, and that was her potential husband.
She tells him at the beginning. She tells him at the beginning.
Work for this guy. Like, do whatever the fuck he tells you to. Like, you shouldn't care about the ethics
get out
of
of here.
Oh, come on.
She tells him.
She seems
she
like that
tells
kind of person.
him at the beginning of the movie, if I find out that you weren't doing this for Charlie, I'm gonna make you pay.
It just all seems very weird.
But the weird part to me is the part where she says, if I put the satellite's phone number into my laser gun, I'm going to shoot this laser. Mind you, if this works, we have a new, like, weapon of mass destruction on our hands.
That's what I'm saying. I told you, this company is evil. It's super villain.
Because
evil. Terrorist evil.
She shoots the laser into space, destroying the satellite dish. Not satellite dish, the satellite.
Yeah.
She took out the cash cow for the company.
That satellite one also has to be, like, in that specific airspace at that time, too, so it's just weird. But
right. Otherwise, the laser had to curve to hit the satellite.
Now you're curving lasers.
And if you're doing any of this, you're going to hit a plane or another satellite.
You're gonna kill somebody.
Or some space junk, and it's going to fall to the Earth. Like,
yeah.
What are we doing here, people?
I don't know what happened. Like, this became a very odd. Like, I don't know. Like, I get. Here's one of my biggest issues. why did he send her? She said, I'm only going for Charlie. She didn't really care about the diamonds. Why would he send her?
Well, who else is he gonna send? Like, he knows that she is former CIA. I think we're missing backstory here that her and Charlie were working on this, like, diamond project. So, like, she was...
ever?
Yeah, so, like, she was the other person in charge of this diamond project, is my guess. And that's where I
Even
want
though they don't give her the password?
I want... Only Rudy has the password. I want a better arc, where she cared about the diamonds... She wanted to save Charlie, but she really cared about these diamonds, and then she learns to care about the gorillas and about nature, and she...
Right.
Like, the whole plan should have been, like, we're gonna mine King Solomon's mines.
Yes,
when we
but
find
he only
it.
wanted one.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah,
That's
we're gonna
why
tear
none of
this
this
bitch
makes
apart.
any sense.
Like every other corporation tears apart Africa, we're gonna do that. And then she learns, as she goes through the Congo, like, oh no, we need to preserve Congo. We need to preserve nature and protect it and gain respect for it. And she doesn't do that.
No, she could care less about anything in Congo. She's just pissed that Charlie's dead and that his dad doesn't care. So she's like, well then fuck you, and then like shoots him with the laser. Like,
Shoots him. She uses the satellite to shoot. Now that would have been an ending. If she refracted the laser off the satellite and the laser comes down and shoots Joe Don Baker.
Yes. He just goes, ah!
My diamonds! I actually did like this next scene. I will admit that this scene was very touching to me somehow.
It makes sense for this next scene to be in the movie.
Even though it's a gorilla, it's a woman in a gorilla suit. It's still
it's a little corny.
I thought it was touching though, because Peter
yeah.
finds Amy, and Amy gives him flowers. Like she gives him a dandelion, like she gave him the flowers at the beginning or whatever it is at the beginning of the movie, and she tells him she loves him. He tells her that, he loves her too. She says, this is, mother. And he's like, oh yeah. You're the mother of your toy or whatever. And she's like, no. Africa is my mother. Like, I belong here. Like, I guess she realizes
this is her home, this is her family.
Yeah, so maybe like that was Peter's plan the whole time, was to like get her used to it, to like realize that she belongs here. The silverback is like up on the hill like, hey, let's go, we gotta get out of here. Cars,
right.
I'm double parked. We gotta get out of here. And I'm Joey Pants, the silverback. We gotta get out of here. The volcano's going. I'm double parked. So
horrible.
So he's like, "Oh, handsome fella," to Amy the gorilla. She heads off because she realizes that the silverback accepted her into his clan, his troop, and the other two like find Peter and they see them leaving, and Monroe is going to tell Peter like, the silverback accepted her, we have to let her go. And Peter's like, no, I understand.
Well, yeah, she's home.
I thought that was touching.
It is touching. Yeah, it also just feels like weird because he planned on bringing her here. It was his whole idea to bring her here. At this moment, he's just like, oh, this is her home. I have to leave her here. And it's like, yes, that was your plan.
That was the plan. Unless it was I'm going to stay here. And Monroe's like, because he asked them like, are they going to be okay? And Monroe's like, they know what they're doing.
Right,
that's
really what it was. It's not
we need to get out of here.
We got to get the hell out of here. The volcano is blowing up. Yeah. I don't know.
Because I again go back to the idea like, was he planning to see if Amy can teach the gorillas sign language, and he was going to stay there? But the silverback is like, no, he's not. You can stay with us.
He's not a gorilla. You're a gorilla.
Your weirdo human is not going to stay. They get to the hot air balloon. It takes them out of the area, and you get a shot of Amy watching them leave from the hot air balloon. Ross takes the diamond out of the laser gun and asks Peter to throw it away, which again would have completed her arc of not caring about the diamonds, but still needing Peter to throw it away because she couldn't do it herself. I guess Amy got to go home, but was it all pointless because the guy was dead? Hermoka's dead. They didn't get the diamonds. That would have been a funny ending too, like the ending of The Mummy. I guess then Joe Don Baker would have gotten what he wanted though, like how at the end of The Mummy they all have they get the gold that Benny stole.
Right, yeah. They
But
ended up with all the gold.
If they would have ended up with the diamonds, like, then Joe Don Baker would have gotten what he wanted, and you can't let that happen, so...
Right.
Amy smiles and she heads off with her new family, and that is the end of the movie.
Yep.
That is Congo.
That was Congo. Not the movie I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but that was Congo.
So that means, Rachel, we have come to that time of the show. Rachel's showing her teeth to show aggression at me. Where we decide, does Congo have shelf life for any reason? So, Rachel, do you want to start or do you want me to?
You always have me start.
I do, but I didn't know
the option. This is so
I'm giving
weird.
you the option.
You know what? Yeah, let's flip the table on this one. Why don't you go first, Kev? Let's have you go first.
Okay, I will. So some things I think I talked about some of the ways that I would improve this. Mm-hmm. I think Laura Linney needs a better arc. I think Hardemoka needs to be more mustache twirling villain, or like you said, he needs to have been full of it, and there needs to be more of an arc there. The Peter angle, where it's like, well, why is he actually? What was his end game if it's not just to drop Amy off? Mm-hmm. And Monroe Kelly is the best character of the movie. But,
oh God, yes, yeah.
But I think we've touched on the stuff that I wanted to say about how I would punch this movie up a bit, or this story up a bit. But it isn't unwatchable, like I was expecting.
It's not unwatchable.
It certainly isn't good. It should be crazier. So when you go listen to those other podcasts, they make it sound more fun and crazy than I think it is, in my opinion. If it was crazier, yes, you see gorillas getting lasered, and that's insane, and like there's some insane points, and the scene with Delroy Lindo is very good, and Monroe Kelly's very good. There's elements of this that are entertaining, but I don't think there's enough weird choices or craziness to make it entertaining enough for the shelf. It's tonally inconsistent. Mm-hmm. It's not campy enough to be in that like fun range. It's not entertaining enough to be super rewatchable. I think you can rewatch it. I think it is watchable, but I think it's more watchable where it's just on in the background while you're doing something else, and it's like, okay, I'll just leave Congo on while I'm doing laundry or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that you sit down and really rewatch, because other than those few scenes, it's not something that really sticks with you. It's a movie that Dad would watch in the middle of the afternoon while laying on the floor. But
yes.
And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's just like an afternoon movie.
Like relaxing, but who cares what's really on? It's just on to be on.
Yeah. I watched it and then watched the behind the scenes stuff, and I was like, oh man, they like put a lot of effort into the gorillas and the hippo suit and everything, and
absolutely. Okay, so I'm assuming you're saying not on the shelf.
It is not on the shelf for me.
Okay. So I am agreeing with you on a lot of the points. I feel like it had potential. I feel like I liked where they were going with the gorilla stuff, like the gorillas themselves, and I like that they use like the people in animatronics and stuff like that. That awesome. Like I like that kind of movie making magic type of thing. And I agree. I feel like there's these arcs just weren't hitting their marks because there just either wasn't one or it just didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. I felt like,
because you can be a bad, stupid, entertaining, fun movie and have we put Faculty on the shelf. You don't have to be a good movie for it to have an arc or have it to be fun enough where we're going to put it on the shelf. But to your point, like, it's just it's confusing. It's not just that it's not
confusing, like, at times.
Craziness is craziness, and we love it. It was just like there wasn't enough there either
the
way.
flow wasn't there,
Yeah.
right? And it didn't feel like it either didn't push hard enough, or it wasn't showing enough, or something was held back. If you're gonna have this weird company where the guy is obsessed with diamonds, let's harden that up a little bit more. Let's make that make sense as to why he's obsessed with one diamond in particular. Like, what is the actual end game for that? Like, I wanted her to be a bit more fleshed out. Is she bad? Is she good? Is there an arc? Like, I just felt like there was nothing. And like she was very only about Charlie, only about a man. That's it, period. Like, okay, like,
well, she's
I
trying.
don't
It's
I
a
don't-
rescue
but,
mission
like,
for her,
like,
so
oh,
I
yeah,
get
okay,
that.
he's your ex-fiance and your partner in this company, but I felt nothing in that relationship either. So I'm like, okay, so what are you
That's
actually
true.
doing this for? And then, like, I only liked Monroe Kelly, the character.
Yes.
He was fantastic. He was fleshed out. He made sense. His whole character, I understand you. And then we have Amy, and I feel like she felt like she was supposed to be a big piece, but also just kind of felt like she was just there.
She has a
Sometimes it
character,
just-
though. I mean, it
She
is
has a
like a
character,
kiddish
but
character.
She just kind of felt like she was there, and there really wasn't a reason for her to be there. Like, I understand, like, she brought them to the temple, but even that felt funky because she kind of brought them, but then she left. She didn't have anything to do with the temple. She just left. And it was just, was there like a nest here? Like, with the gorillas, is this where you were born? I don't know. So it just, no, it's not on my shelf. It is watchable, but I was a little confused, and I wanted it to be stronger and structurally and thematically. It just felt weird sometimes.
I mean, like we said, I would be all for a Monroe Kelly, the Great White Hunter, or
Absolutely.
whatever you want to call it, that movie starring Ernie Hudson.
I know this is probably like off topic, but isn't there a weird gorilla movie with The Rock?
Yes.
And it's like a gray gorilla and stuff.
Primal Rage.
Okay.
Based off
For
of
some
the video
reason,
game.
gotcha. Even if it was something like that, but with the Monroe Kelly character, I'd be like, yeah, let's do this.
See, I just want him to be going on more adventure. Like, I want it to be the sequel to be a group coming up to him and being like, we heard, you're able to find the lost city of Zinch. And he's like, my days of safaring are over. Like, I'm old and I will never do that again. And they're like, we want you to find, like, the city of Atlantis. And we need
Like,
you,
he's,
we
like,
want
actually
you
going to
along.
find,
And he's, like something like that.
Like other temples or like something. But I think that might also be the problem, is that they were like, it's going to be huge, so we have to make sure it does this and this and this. But then they weren't like really fleshing it all out.
They made action figures for these characters thinking it was going to be like this big deal. But yeah, tons of toys. It fascinates me not because I thought that this was ever going to be on the shelf or that it was crazy enough to be considered to have shelf life.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, you really thought that this movie was going to be the next Jurassic Park?
Well,
And then,
like I said, it has those points. It has the pieces, but they were so hell-bent on it being so good. And I think that's where the problem is that they didn't flesh it out.
yeah.
They didn't let it just kind of be what it is. They were like, no, this has to be this, and it has to be like all of these things.
Diamonds! That's what they were doing, but they were doing it with Congo.
My Congo!
Yeah, exactly. Yes, my Congo Taco Bell deluxe meal with my Congo wristwatch. So for those of you that feel differently than us, that have nostalgia for this movie, which is how I assume most people would say that this movie is underrated, I can't imagine somebody coming in cold and watching it and coming away with anything other than, it was all right at best, but let us know.
If you're really passionate about it, yeah, I want to hear why, or like what about it is like drawing you in. I want to hear your side. I'm very interested.
Yeah, I am. That was Congo, 1995, directed by Frank Marshall. It is not on the shelf. I'm Kevin, good gorilla.
And I'm Rachel, tickle Rachel. I have to.
So insane. This has been Shelf Life. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time. Hey, stop eating my coffee. Stop eating my coffee cake! Get your hands off my sesame cake!
Stop eating my sesame cake!